Hey, what's going on, everybody? Ian Douglas, typically streaming about interview prep, but Thursday is Maker Day, so I wanted to hang out today, and I got the laser engraver working. It took some head scratching and realized that during my assembly process, I didn't assemble it properly. The smooth rod that was going in there ended up not screwing it in properly. So I was ending up with all kinds of weird issues on the engraver. So I want to talk a little bit about that tonight, and then some of the calibrations and things I've been doing to try to get things fixed. And then we'll kind of figure out from there what else we got going on. I thought I brought over. Oh, here, there. I was gonna say I thought I brought more samples over to kind of show what was going on and sort of how I resolved it and how I was trying to fix it. Um, so yeah, so welcome to the stream. Tonight we're going to be actually laser engraving stuff on little 4x6 pieces of wood. So if you've got somebody just dropped something really heavy upstairs, I don't know what it was. Hopefully nothing breakable. But yeah, if you want something laser engraved on a piece of wood and you want to cover the cost of postage to get it to you, then I am happy to do that for you on the stream tonight. I got one thing etching right now, but let's talk a little bit about what I was trying to go through. So when I was doing some of these initial like calibration tests, I noticed that the squares and stuff weren't they just weren't square. And I was trying to figure out like what could be going on, what could be happening. And so I went through and I was trying different sorts of speed increments and um, different like just trying different types of settings to try to figure out like is it a speed issue or was it a belt tightening thing? So I was constantly like tightening and loosening the belts and trying to figure that stuff out. But when I did this first calibration card of, try to figure out like what speed and what power setting do I want to like etch all these things. Um, I was just not seeing things getting very square, and it turned out just to be that smooth rod. But what was happening, for example, when I was trying to engrave this welcome sign, you'll notice here along the bottom, the line that kind of attaches all the bottom of the letters isn't even. In fact, this part here, it got like really, really skinny underneath the C, and then this line here didn't line up properly. So like just having all kinds of weird inconsistencies like that, trying to figure out like what the heck is going on with this thing, and why was it trying to like etch around and try to cut like several different points. So then I tried, well, I figured, well, why don't I try this? Why don't I flip the image backwards and I'll try and cut it from behind. That way, if it does that same thing when it actually, shows the proper sort of thing, it won't sort of show that thing. So you can kind of see here how, like, you end up with this double line, like right here above my index finger, you end up with this double arc where it wasn't lining up properly, which means it also wasn't cutting through properly. And then also trying just different settings. You notice some of the lines don't cut all the way through. So like just trying to figure out those kinds of power settings and going through the whole process. I eventually got to a point where I was decently happy with the result, where it was actually like cutting everything, but you notice it was still ending up with these double lines where it wasn't perfectly lined up. And so I was starting to get really frustrated, and I reached out to my contact at ATEZR. I think they pronounce it ATEZR. Trying to figure out what was going on because I was also trying to print this, and that doesn't look like very much. So if you kind of squint and hold your eye back a little bit, and you imagine this is actually overlaid on top of this, it's actually a Super Mario cross stitch plan. What's up, RC? How's it going? And it wasn't lined up. Like you can see very clearly that this these things were not square. And then I also used this piece of wood just to play around with actually cutting bits and pieces out of the wood. But this wasn't square, and so I got in contact with a taser and said, I'm having these issues. What should I do? Also, trying to like way over etch things. You can see this square down here at the bottom. You can actually see the light coming through it right there. It actually burned a hole straight through the wood. Just trying to figure out calibration types of settings. ended up using a lot of this material, but I thought, well, maybe it's shifting on the board. So I tried taping it down and it still wasn't like lining up properly. The circles weren't circular. They were all ending up as ovals. And then I realized it was just the smooth rod. And so the way that they have the motor mounted is they've got this I don't even know what you would call the part. It fits. So on the gear, you've got the little post that comes out of the motor, and then there's a piece that fits onto that, and it screws in. The smooth rod fits into that and screws in. But my misunderstanding was that that piece that was attached on the rod was actually already like somehow permanently attached to that rod, and the screw was for the smooth rod. And turns out there was an extra screw in the package, and I'm like, oh, nice, they gave us extra screws. Turns out one of those screws was to actually tighten the steel rod on that side. Because what I observed while this thing was trying to etch is one side of it would move, and then the other part would kind of carry along, because the smooth rod wasn't turning properly all the time. Sometimes it was, most of the time it was not. Once I got that dialed in, actually did a calibration of different sizes, and this thing is darn near perfect as far as like making these things exactly square. So I made like a 1 centimeter, 2 centimeter, 4, 6, and 8 centimeter square. These things are like 150 by 100 millimeters. So I couldn't do a 10 centimeter square because it would have been like right on the edges here. Anyway, all that to say, we got that fixed, and it's been working brilliantly since. And I was actually able to successfully etch out all 3 pieces of a welcome sign. If I get it lined up properly. It looks better when you line it up properly. There we go. Try to get this exactly straight on the camera here so you can kind of see. Anyway, it etched out perfectly. No problems whatsoever. I might do a little bit like a really light sandpaper or something on there, just because when it's burning through the wood, it actually kind of like burns the wood on the other side of like where it's actually cutting through. But it actually turned out really, really nice. The only thing I'm not happy about is not the fault of the laser engraver. It's the manufacturer of these wood planks. They're not perfectly straight, and so notice I'm pinching this end, and the other end is like very badly warped. Like over here, they're not even close to touching. And so that's like my one major kind of beef about this whole thing is you got to make sure that you get quality material for what it is, for what these basswood sheets are. It actually does a pretty decent job. And so yeah, so we got our first successful laser engraving on this. If I were to do this again, I would. Oh, I just realized there's a whole piece here that didn't pop out. If I were going to do it again, this second piece in the middle, I would probably like etch or paint or something like that. So you've got the blank on the back. This is the middle piece, and I might actually like color this in or something, and then put this one over top, so that you get like a white font, and then like what's immediately behind the letters would be like some other color. So I might do like a little bit of a color wash paint or something on that on another Thursday night stream. And so today, while I had other stuff going on at home, like a giant resin spill from my resin 3D printer, I was doing more of these other etches where I was trying to figure out, okay, well, what strengths do I want to do everything at again? And just now that I've got it all properly calibrated. And so going through and trying to figure out, okay, as I'm drawing out these squares, how strong do I make the laser? And then if I want to like actually fill something in, how strong do I make the laser? And so I figured for tonight, why not get people in chat to suggest some ideas? And then we can etch those on the card. And if you want to pay for the postage, then I can send you a dad joke or something along those lines. Or if you've just got like a saying or like a motivational saying or something like that that's meaningful to you, I will etch that on a piece of 4x6 wood for you, and I'll ship it to you. You just have to cover the shipping charge. And hope it arrives like they don't actually bend. So I'll make sure it's written on the envelope, like "do not bend," fragile kind of thing, so they don't like snap it in half on you. But I'll send this in like a big like cardboard envelope mailer. It should be sturdy enough. But it'll be probably $4 or $5 to mail these around the United States. So if you want to pay for postage, I'll etch something on here for you. I also found out after the fact, this isn't actually very well documented whatsoever. They actually have a mobile app. When I was assembling the laser engraver, I noticed it had this little antenna that we had to kind of tuck up out of the way because the smooth rod was going to hit it. And I remember thinking, why do they have like this thing on here? Because they didn't say anything at all about having wireless capability on the thing as far as like remote printing. Sorry, I need to reconnect to a different Wi-Fi momentarily. And we'll talk about like pros and cons of what this laser engraver can do over the wireless thing. I just have to reconnect in here, confirm, connect. Yes, I want to connect anyway. And so basically the laser engraver itself acts as like a Wi-Fi router. And you can connect to that over Wi-Fi, and then you can take photos with the mobile app, and it'll actually do like it'll turn it into like a black and white grayscale sort of image, and then you say I want to upload this to the printer, and then you can tell it to print from there. Now when I got the laser engraver, they had sent it with this little remote panel on the front. And the remote panel, I'm like, oh, cool. You've like, I figured it was going to be like a 3D printer with lots of menu options, and it literally has one menu option, and that's like to start like etching or cutting something, and it has to be on an SD card. I don't remember if it came with an SD card. I know it came with a USB drive, but I don't think it came with an actual SD card. And so I pulled out an SD card, and I took a picture of the laser engraver itself, and I sent it to the printer. And so this is basically what the application came back with. It's just me kind of taking like an overhead view. I put the webcam on there, and there's like a roll of masking tape on this side of it and whatever. And it did a pretty good job turning it into just a grayscale image. And then I thought, well, let's actually etch that out and print it. And so it turned my image into this. And so once you get through all the different sorts of screens in the mobile app, you can say like, how big do I want to sort of scale it to? Because it took this really skinny picture, and I said I want to make it 100 by 150 millimeters, and it sort of disproportioned the image. And so I wasn't happy about that. I would have rather had like the skinnier image down the middle and have the aspect ratio maintained, as opposed to like actually stretching it out to fill the dimensions of the card itself. The other thing that I'm not too happy about with the laser engraver is the laser engraver acts as a hotspot. I can connect to that Wi-Fi on my phone to run the application, and I can upload the photo, and I can start the etch and things like that. And on here you can set like the power and the power of the laser and the speed of the laser. And then when you're actually coming through and printing, you can adjust the speed in the laser. So if you want to speed it up, or if you want to make the laser stronger, you can do that while it's running. But there were a few sort of inconsistencies about it that I don't like. Like there's a lot of steps to go through to actually take a picture, and then go through and like, do I want a black and white? Do I have, and setting like the light balance and the contrast and whatever. It's not the best user experience for someone that's new at this. But once I got it kind of dialed into where I was happy with this as a picture, sending it to the printer took a really long time. Like it took probably 5 to 10 minutes over my Wi-Fi, like to send from my phone to its Wi-Fi. The other thing that I wish that they would change about the device is, instead of acting as a Wi-Fi hotspot, I would like to connect my laser engraver to my actual Wi-Fi. So I don't have to like change the Wi-Fi on my phone to be the Wi-Fi of the laser engraver just to use the software to say start laser engraving something. I would like to like just have it on my Wi-Fi, and that way I can connect to it remotely from any device or my phone or whatever, and be able to send things to it. So just from a bare user interface perspective, this is all it's got. You're connected, but it's idle, and then you can send a photo. You can look at other resources. The resources tab have a number of shapes. I guess if you want like a banana for scale, I can like 3D print a banana, or not 3D print, but I can etch a banana or whatever in there. And so it's a little bit limited on that. They've got a drawing pad on here where you can come in and you can actually draw. If you hit the paintbrush one, you can set the width of the paintbrush on here and you can kind of draw a shape, and then you can upload that. And then just local files. So if you have a local file that you want to use, then you can deal with it from there. Now the local file on here is actually the picture that I took from my phone. It's only 12 megabytes. So why did that take over 5 minutes to send over to the laser engraver? Like, it took a really, really long time. My Wi-Fi is really fast down here. But because it's not on my home Wi-Fi, it's using its own Wi-Fi as a hotspot, then you're kind of at their mercy. So I would prefer to have it on my home Wi-Fi where it's faster, maybe to transmit that data. Anyway, that's all there is in the whole app. The little display that comes on the printer that plugs in over HDMI, super limited. It's got one control, and that's like start laser engraving something, or there's like a settings function. And the settings function is basically like set everything back to factory defaults, which, I mean, actually, was there a factory default setting on there? I think all that stuff was off. I want to say that the only thing on there was like format the SD card or something along those lines, and that's it. Like, that's the only setting on this whole little screen. So that little screen is kind of pointless. Like, I want to be able to go through and, like, if I send something to it, with the app, it saves on that SD card. But how about like anything else I do, that I'm, uploading through Lightburn or something like that? If it could cache a copy on that thing that I can just go back and say, hey, take that thing and print it again and again, that would be really, really helpful. What you looking for? Okay. So anyway, so what I thought I'd do tonight, if folks are interested, is doing like some dad jokes or something like that. So this one's basically, when I die, I want to be cremated. It's my last chance to have a smoking hot body. This took about half an hour to etch. Depending on the length and the font that you want to choose, if folks want to do this, I'm happy to take suggestions on these things, and I will etch them. If you want to pay for the postage, I'll ship it to you. So I know I missed a bunch of stuff in chat, so let me go see what was going on. RC, good to see you. The heat will probably warp it too. I mean, I wouldn't think that the heat would warp wood. I mean, if you're doing something like acrylic, I could see it maybe warping, but I mean, the surface that I've got it sort of resting on is made of metal, and so I would hope that it's going to keep it fairly stable. But you never know. I would think that plastic would warp more. But anyway, let me kind of go through the Wi-Fi on those devices. Are often very low power. Yeah, I mean, this one's like, I don't think it's so much that it's low power. It's just really slow. Like, I'm wondering what kind of technology, like what kind of Wi-Fi chip did they actually put in this thing? Because it's extremely slow. So yeah, I missed all the chat. Blacksmith Pop, good to see you as well. And Antonio, good to see you as well. I'd like to get an inspirational message from my wife and daughters, if that's okay. Yeah, absolutely. Just let me know in chat, like put it in quotes, like what you want it to be, and I'll etch that. And then send me a Twitch whisper with your shipping details, and I'll send that over. So kind of going all the way back through chat. So you should do the grid of burn values. Yeah, and so I've been doing that. Twitch says I've been streaming for 10 minutes, didn't send out notifications. Yeah, I mean, that's out of my control. The rod was for calibration. No, the rod is actually to control the actual motors. Or sorry, there's one motor that turns this rod, and the motor on this side and the rod on this side move the belts for the x-axis gantry. And so let me switch over to this view. So I've got I've got it engraving right now. So the gantry is actually moving not quite parallel, but the numbers that you see along the bottom, like the 4, 5, 6, 7, that's basically your x-axis, and that x gantry moves on both sides. And so there's a belt on both sides, and that smooth rod is connecting just under where you see this thing. Why does it look like it paused there? I think it stopped etching. Either that or it froze. But it's actually so the motor, like, there's only it's a single motor basically that drives the x-axis, And so the motor's down in the bottom left corner of like this side here that I'm kind of pointing at, if you can kind of imagine the laser engraver. And then the smooth rod goes all the way over to the other side. And then there's another belt on that side. And so if that smooth rod is loose, then one of those, like the gear on the far side, that side of the laser engraver, is not going to move properly. And so you're going to end up with disproportionate things. It's not going to be perfectly square or circular, that sort of thing. And so it's not that it's needed for calibration, it's needed for operation. But if it's not tight, then anything you try to do, like calibration wise, is going to be like way off. So yeah. No, it's supposed to be video. I need to go double check, so let me see what's going on. The nice thing about it is the way that I'm making these little signs in SVG format is it's all the letters are individual lines, and so I can go in and I can say start this line over again, or just this range of lines, and so it didn't have to re-etch the whole bottom of the joke. In this case, the joke is like I was clearing the driveway of snow with my son today. He looked at me and said, "Dad, I wish you'd use a shovel." So I thought that would be a fun one to etch and like give it to my kids. So yeah, for some reason it just stopped etching partway through, and no error message that I can tell. Like there was no error message in Lightburn. It just stopped. No idea why. It is a good dad joke. I actually saw a video of like a dad where they dress the kid up in like all the snow clothes, and it's like, hey, we're gonna go clean off the car, and then the dad picks the kid up and he's like wiping off the car with the kid. So someone actually made like a live video of it. Someone on MakerDeck was printing a giant D20. The person in chat said that's a big D20. I said just roll with it. Yep. I think Loyal Moses has printed like a bunch of like full size D20s on his printers as well, using up lots and lots of filament. The interesting thing about 3D printing those things is you, depending on the infill that you use, and maybe even the filament that you use, you can actually bias the dice based on how you actually 3D print the thing, as far as like, is it perfect, perfect weight all around, that, anything you roll has an equal chance of actually rolling. Because which side you print on the bottom versus which side you print on the top, if you do more top layers than bottom layers, then it's actually more likely to land on the heavier side, with perfect rolls and stuff like that. There are literally weighted dice you can print. I believe it. I mean, even while you're 3D printing that, you could fill it up with like little, beads or something like that to kind of give it some bias. So, where it literally specifies specific numbers. Yeah, I believe it. Cool. So yeah, Blacksmith Pop, if you'd like something laser engraved, let me know. So what I'm going to do is I've actually got Canva up and running over on this side. And that's what I use to export this this dad joke as an SVG. And so if Blacksmith Pop, if you want to send something over chat, then let me know. Do not be anxious about anything. Philippians 4:6-7. Yep. Oh, sorry. Thanks for the repost, RC. Yep. So let's see what we can get in there. So let me copy that. Let me pull Canva up here and I'll show you what I'm doing in Canva. Browser source. Oops, no, I just want an existing browser. Where is my regular browser? Okay, well, it's just browser. All right. Oh, wait, that's not what I want. I actually want a window, not a browser source. No, I don't want that. I want to delete that. Yes. Try this again. Window capture for my browser. There it is. All right, so let me go find that browser source. That one is going to be, which window is that now? Got so many windows open. That one is going to be that window. Nope, not that window. Which window? Where did my Canva go? There it is. Home, Canva, Google Chrome. Let me go back to here. Home, Canva, Google Chrome. All right. So I've got this design here. Let me go ahead and shrink this up a little bit because you don't need to see it quite that large. Basically what I did in Canvas, I just made like the same sort of size of like 100 by 150 millimeters. And then you can go in and you can just add the text that you want, choose your font, and then export it as an SVG. You do need to be on a paid plan on Canva to export as SVG. You can export PNG files like PNG, but it's less optimal to do those in Lightburn than SVG. SVG is like literally a path of its actual vector graphic of like go here, you know, and so on. Where as an image is literally doing it like line by line, scan by scan, and it's a little bit similar to what you see it doing right now, honestly. But when I was doing a comparison of an image version versus the SVG version, it was like twice as long to do an image for some reason. So I'll just export these as SVG. All right, so if we paste that in, and then we'll do one of these, and then we'll make this a little bigger. And then let's make it a better font. So we can come in here and we can choose a different font. Let's see, something like that. Let's do like a handwritten type of font. See if we can find like a nice calligraphy or something for this one. Oh, it might be a little hard to read. That one's not bad. Also a little hard to read. Oh, they got all kinds of fonts on here. What was the name of that one I was using earlier today? It was Comforter Brush or something like that, or Comfort Brush. Let's see if I can find that one in here. Brush. I wish it would alphabetize these. Comfort. Nope. All right, what would be another one? There was Zendaya, I think. Nope. Or Zayada. Zayada. No, that one's not on there either. Just looking through some other fonts that I've got here that are handwritten. Calistoga, maybe? Oh, that one's pretty plain. There we go. That looks pretty good. Let's see. Can I change just one part of this to be a different font size? Kind of. I want that line to be less font. Maybe a little bit more on that one. There we go. And then we can stretch that out a bit and then see if we can get this whole thing centered on here. There we go. All right, so blacksmith pop. Let me know in chat if that looks okay as far as a layout goes. Sorry, just going back. I got into a debate with the guy who created the latest version of Tree Organic Supports. Yeah, I saw some of that on GitHub. Yeah, kept compiling the wrong version of Crucius Slicer. Oh, okay, cool. Well, good luck. Hope that's working out okay. So the SVG is like G code. Not really. So the SVG is it's just it's vector. It's what we call vector image, and so it's literally like go here, draw this pixel, or draw like a line or a curve of this dimension or whatever. So it's a lot less data than an actual like bitmap, where literally it's like this pixel's on, this pixel's off, this pixel's on, this pixel's on, this pixel's on, this pixel's on, this pixel's off, and then like what color is that pixel and whatever. So that's more of the bitmap style, where like every single pixel, like it's storing information about every single pixel, where the SVG is literally like from this XY coordinate, start drawing a curve of this angle from this point to this point, and then go draw a curve from this point to this curve, and then fill in, this region and so on. So it's a lot less data, plus it's more scalable. As far as like you can scale it up or down and it'll retain the resolution, where when you take a picture like clip art or something like that, and you zoom in or like you expand it out or whatever, you kind of get that real pixely sort of look. SVG files don't have that. So yeah, it's I know 3D printers and plasma cutting tables use G code. Never tried lasers. So lasers also need to compile down into effectively G code. But it's taking the SVG in order to give you the most optimal path for how it's actually going to draw that. Cool. So if we grab this then, and I will, let's see, go to File, Download, Transparent Background. We're going to do that as an SVG, Transparent Background, Download, and I will call this one Blacksmith Pop. And let me go add that to the Google Drive that I have connected on the other machine. And that is on here. Grab that file, pop that over here. So what I do is I just go over to my other computer, I download it from there, and then put it into the software, start printing it, or start etching it rather. So this one will be done in probably another 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll start on Blacksmith Pop. So if anybody else has anything that you'd like to etch on a card, let me know. Oh, did it just stop again? Oh, that's annoying. Send some money in PayPal? Yeah, appreciate that. It should only be like $5 or $6 at most, because it's really, really lightweight. Like these things are literally like a few grams. And the 8.5 by 11 cardboard envelope mailer is not heavy, so it won't be a weight issue. My only concern is whether it's going to get bent. So I'll make sure to mark on the thing like fragile, do not bend. If I wanted to get really clever, I suppose I could etch that on there, but I'll do it with Sharpie marker so it won't wash off. But I'll just say like fragile, do not bend kind of thing, and then I'll get that over in the post office. So we gave away our little tentacle treasure chest on Sunday. Yeah, Sunday we did the drawing for that. I haven't mailed it out yet. It's still sitting here, but I did get all the 3D coins and gold bars printed, and so those are on the inside. We had a lot of fun with the giveaway. We got everybody's payment sent out. Had one other person come back and say, "Can you add my $10 payment to the fundraiser?" And then Attila, who won the actual giveaway, we did kind of like this progressive jackpot kind of thing, and Attila won $90 plus the treasure chest. And Attila turned around and donated that $90 immediately back to the fundraiser. So thank you for that. That was hugely appreciated. So that gave us a nice jump on the donation there. So yeah, when we hit that goal, we'll do like another big giveaway of some kind. And yeah, doing the giveaway in that format was a lot of fun for sure. Oh, what happened there? I just lost my. Wow, this thing's like having problems staying connected here. There it goes. All right. Technology is a wonderful thing. So yeah, no problem. Blacksmith Pop, I'm happy to do that. So yeah, if anybody else wants something kind of laser engraved on a card, let me know. Or if you want one of these dad jokes if you want to cover the postage, it's only a couple of bucks. Like I said, it's only a couple of bucks to send this your way, and I'll get these out in the mail tomorrow or Saturday. Did I watch Ace's stream? Not Crushed Box. I watched his stream, but I don't recall the reference. So I saw you post that a minute ago, but no, I don't get the reference. So if you open the process file, what does it contain? So if I open the processed file, like, are you talking the SVG file or the file that actually gets sent over to the printer? Because Lightburn right now, it literally connects directly to the printer, and I think it's acting like if you connect your Prusa slicer directly to your printer and you can send the instructions like right from Prusa slicer directly to the printer, I think the Lightburn is doing the same thing. You can write it to the SD card, but then you're constantly taking an SD card in and out. I've got it just plugged straight into a PC over on the other desk. And Lightburn just sends the instructions over. So I imagine it's some flavor of G-code, to be honest, because you can actually open G-code files in Lightburn. And so I imagine it's just doing some flavor of G-code. So the file that gets sent to the laser, yeah, I'm pretty certain that it's doing some kind of G-code. But yeah, I haven't actually saved the file. I'm in Lightburn. I kind of, put it exactly on the screen where this, card is going to sit on that thing on the desk, and then I just hit a play button and it does the etch. So, like I said, I could do the SD card thing. Like I could put this file on an SD card here, take it over to the printer, and put it in and print. But I've already got it set up over there with the camera and stuff like that, so I don't mind just going over and just drag in a new file and hit print. And so this will probably take 40 minutes or so. Actually, sorry, Blacksmith Pops. It'd probably, if I had to guess, I'm gonna guess at a half hour. Let me pull up the software here and see what it says. Let me pop it into Lightburn here. Import the file and choose the file. The dimensions of it are already exactly perfect for what I need. I just have to tell it where to actually position the thing. So position at 0, 0. And it is that size. And if I do it as a fill and a preview, it's only going to take like 17 minutes to do this for Blacksmith Pop. So that one will go really fast compared to this one. So this one, I used a thicker font, and it's, well, actually, sorry, I should double check that the etch settings on there are correct. 2000 speed at 35. Nope, not even close. It's going to be more like 700 power at like 80%. If I remember right. 46 minutes, yeah, that's more like it. So yeah, it's going to take 45 minutes to an hour to print one of these. And yeah, just making sure, like I've got an extra pair of glasses now, so when I walk over there, I pop another pair of glasses on, just so I don't get any of that laser light in my eyes. The only thing that was really sort of disconcerting when it was doing this one today, I'd love to get a microscope on this to show you how much of the wood actually burns away in this process. Like where these little wires show up. Let me switch the view over here. Where these little wires show up from the webcam, right here by my pinky finger, it's literally like 3-dimensional, because it's literally like engraving away, like it's literally burning away the wood. Like if you were to take a side profile of this, like if we were to take a slice of it, you'd see a bunch of it's literally like obliterated. But it really fills up my basement with a lot of smoke. That's the one thing that I don't like. The other thing I'm not fantastically crazy about this basswood is it's a veneer. It's not solid basswood. It's a plywood with a basswood veneer, and the veneer actually peels off. So it's like super low quality veneer, super low quality balsa wood. So not to downplay, what I'm etching for everybody tonight, but just be aware, like I'm going to pick the best pieces of wood that I can to actually print these things out for you and send it your way. But you want to be careful not to get this wet, or that veneer is going to peel right off. So just forewarning on that. So we'll get that sent over to Blacksmith Pop. Don't forget to send me a Twitch Whisper with his name and address of where you want to ship that, and I'll get that out tomorrow. If you have a minute, might be a curse word at the end. Yeah, I'll go check that out a little bit later on. Not crushed box. I'm curious what happened. Was he trying to like not crush the Lego box and he failed and it crushed it anyway? It's been an interesting week this week. My youngest turned 12 on Tuesday. I had an uncle pass away on Tuesday. Wednesday, yesterday we had the science fair. Today my youngest got suspended from school for hitting somebody. And so he gets the day off of school tomorrow. And so I took away all of his screen time. No screen time, no video games until he goes back to school on Monday. UPS did a great job with the package. Uh-oh. Oh. Did they write something on the box like, fragile, do not crush, and then they crushed it anyway? Yeah, that was all in 1 week. That was in the span of like 3 days. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday it's been a rough week. Did a live stream for work this morning. That was a lot of fun. Oh, and then I spilled resin all over the place. I had a failed resin print, and in the process of trying to drain it back into the resin bottle tipped over, resin all over the place. Spilled it all down my jeans. So got that stuff in the washing machine right away, and it didn't stain the clothing. Made a mess all over the floor. Took more than half an hour to clean all the stuff up. And that was like the one reason I didn't want to get into resin printing. It's just it's so messy and toxic. Like using tons of gloves to try to clean everything up, and yeah, such a waste. Bunch of wasted resin. My father-in-law is big into model trains, and so he actually goes and makes like historically accurate buildings and so on. And he had somebody design him like a little building trestle or like a bridge trestle for trains. And he asked if I could 3D print some. I'm like, well, how many do you want? And he's like, 50 would be good. So I loaded up the build volume as best I could, and I printed, I don't know, there's probably close to 70 of them in the box. And so yeah, he's big into model trains. He's been like he had a whole room in his house that was probably 15 feet square, and it was his train room. And so he had like all the architecture, all the landscape already built. Like he goes in and he airbrushes everything, and he puts all the little fake trees in there and all the buildings and stuff like that. Like he'll go find like era accurate photos of the buildings from the era that he's trying to recreate, and then he'll figure out like how to actually make the building. And so he goes in and does a lot of crafting and stuff like that. But one thing that he's never gotten into himself is 3D printing. So last time he came for a visit, I actually 3D printed him a tiny little bicycle. It was like literally a quarter of an inch in size, like length for this bicycle. And you can see all the little spokes and little handlebars, and it had like a little wicker basket on the front of the bicycle. And it 3D printed amazingly well on a 6K resin printer. And so then he hit me up and he's like, hey, can I get a bunch of these like trestles 3D printed? So I printed off a bunch of those. And I was going to do another tray of them just so he'd have lots of extras, because he's got to figure out how to paint this resin. He's never painted this specific resin before. So I wanted to give him a bunch of extras in case, he has to practice like sanding it and painting it and whatever. And in the process of making the third tray, it didn't stick to the print surface. I'm not sure why, but it started like the thing was printing and it was empty, like completely empty. Nothing adhered to it at all. And so I poured everything out, and sure enough, it was stuck on the FEP film on the bottom of the resin print. So I had to clean all that out, and thankfully I learned a tip from someone. I forget who had this tip. It was one of the many great YouTube channels that I follow for resin printing. I don't think it was Uncle Jesse. But they actually talk about getting a PTFE spray that you spray on the FEP film on both sides, and it helps the resin not stick on the inside of the vat, but then on the bottom, it also helps keep it extra clear, like filling in any little scratches and dents and stuff like that you get in the film. And you get better light going through and whatever. So sprayed that down with both sides, put it back together, and I'm like, I don't need to do another tray. I'm just gonna send him what I got. So I got to get to the post office and mail that out to him tomorrow anyway. So I'll be mailing out these cards as well. So if anybody wants these dad jokes, the other ones should be finished up here like any moment. I'll go over here. Oh, it finished. So if anybody wants the dad joke that's etched over there, if you want this dad joke, let me know. If you want to cover the postage, it's only a couple of bucks. Otherwise, I'll hang on to these and we'll do them as a giveaway another time. So let me get over there and I'll get Blacksmith Pops up and running. I'll be right back. All right, we're off and running for Blacksmith Pop. So yeah, if anybody else would like something etched on a piece of board, then I'm happy to take requests. You just have to cover the shipping. It'll only be a couple of bucks to ship that in the United States. But if anybody else wants anything etched, let me know, and we'll get that worked out and get that printed. This is going to take about 40 minutes or so to etch. So yeah, you'll have your choice of font and things like that, as you know, whatever Canva can support. So yeah, anything that you'd like, let me know, and we'll add. If you want a dad joke, you can do bang joke. If you want to pick one of those jokes, if you want me to pick a dad joke, I'm happy to take suggestions there, and then we'll get these things etched out and sent in the mail for you probably tomorrow. Saturday at the latest, but likely tomorrow. So yeah, so it's going to take about 40 minutes or so on the laser etch right now. So let's see if I missed anything else. Nope. Puts on Disco Inferno. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely need to get some air circulation going on this thing. It does have what it calls air assist, which is basically It's basically for an air compressor that can send air to the laser, and what it does is it blows away any soot that happens while it's doing the etching and the cutting. And it can help give you like a cleaner cut or a cleaner etch of, based on what it is you're doing on your project. But I would also love to actually get like a vacuum thing that can actually like pull the smoke away and like send through like a bunch of filters. Cause yeah, I was like, when I was doing that photograph earlier today that I took, like the amount of etching that this had to do and the amount of burning that this had to do, filled the basement up with a pretty good amount of smoke. Thankfully, none of the smoke alarms went off, but I could see a time where if I was doing like a really big etch, like this thing will do like 17 inches square or something. It's like 430 millimeters square. That if I were like etching that or trying to cut through like a really thick board or something like that, I could see it setting off the smoke alarm in my house, and that's pretty noisy. So hopefully we won't get that far. Um, One of the things I was able to do before even getting in and like figuring out like what was wrong with the calibration, um, I was actually able to etch on a little removable drive, like just a little like, if found, please contact kind of thing, and it's got my contact info on there. So when I travel, if I take this thing with me, it actually turned out pretty good. It's a little bit crooked. I also tried etching my name on the bottom of a laser or of a leather journal that I use for work. I was just going to put like my Twitter handle on there. My thinking was, it's actually just going to burn it in there as black, but it doesn't. When you actually etch a laser into leather, you just get a different color of the leather. And so it etched on the orange leather in effectively bright yellow, which is nearly impossible to see. So I need to figure out, can I like go back in and fill that in with ink or something like that? Because it etched down into the leather, but it didn't burn the leather like you would expect. Like a lot of people, you get a laser engraver and you're like, oh, it's just going to like put black text on whatever you put underneath it. That's not necessarily the case. So like on that little drive, because it's just a paint, it's basically etching away the paint. And so you just see the metal underneath. Same thing if you've got like those tumbler mugs or whatever. If you've ever had something on those, that's basically all they do. All they're doing is they're coating it in paint, and then they're etching away like whatever message or brand name or something on there that you want. Air assist is good for good output, nothing for ventilation. Yeah, so it needs some kind of ventilation. Like there's no cover on this at all, and so I'd love to like get even just a basic cover where it can like start extracting the fumes and like put it through like a series of fans. I've got a number of like old computer fans, like the is it 12 millimeter or 12 centimeter fans. They're like the decent sized ones that you'd get with air movement in a PC. I've got a lot of those. So I would love to wire those up in a way that I can do like a fan and then some filter material and then a fan and some filter material and like do like a bunch of those, and then see if I can get those wired up to something that'll run off 12 volts or something like that. Because I've got lots of plugs and stuff right near this the machine. But yeah, I got to get something to like actually pull the air and like actually get it through some filters to cut down the smoke. My throat actually started feeling a little bit raw today from between that and the alcohol from like cleaning out the resin and stuff like that. Like it's definitely affecting my voice a little bit. So speaking of smoke alarms, do you know Zach Friedman? He had a different issue with a recent set the fire alarm off. He mentioned his most recent video. No, I don't know the name. Uh, did you watch the Ivan Miranda about his enclosure for the laser cutter? Looks very similar to yours. It's a Creality one. Nope, also no. I've only just started looking at plans to like build some kind of cover. But this thing's already really big. Like the size of this laser engraver is actually pretty decent size. To actually, I mean, I've probably got enough material here at home, and I've got saws and stuff like that that I could like construct something if I wanted. Um, but I'm also considering like you can buy like just little canvas things that go over the top, and then it's got like the socket on one end or whatever to attach like an air hose or whatever to like ventilate whatever. it wouldn't be a perfect system because if it's just sitting on top, then it could still get out from the sides. It's not necessarily going to pull everything through that hose. I mean, I would think for the air pressure, it would probably pull most of it through. But yeah, I got to figure something out uh, along those lines. So because it got pretty smoky down here today. Um, my wife has hinted 3 times now, I think, that she wants me to do something with a charcuterie board. Um, so I'm worried she's gonna come home with like a really thick slab of lumber with the expectation this thing can cut through more than like a couple of millimeters of wood. It's only like a 6-watt laser, so it's not gonna cut through like anything terribly thick anytime soon. But we'll see. It was the greatest irony for those unprotected lasers. I mean, I've got this thing on the other side of the room. I've got a bunch of stuff blocking my vision right now, so the light from the laser doesn't get anywhere close to me. Um, Plus the way that the enclosure comes down around the laser, I'm kind of facing like the far side of the laser anyway, and that side is completely solid. The the side that you see in the front, it's got like a little panel and it filters out about 97% of the laser light. And then on the left side, it's actually not covered at all. And so um, if I had it spun around the other way, then it would actually I would actually get laser light right in my eyeball. Um, but what comes through that little front panel is actually filtered, and so if you're watching it from that front angle, it wouldn't affect your eyes as much. I mean, it's 97%, so it's not perfect. You still want to wear the glasses no matter what. Um, but the right side of it, like the far side of it, is completely closed. And so, like, no light gets through. So, as long as this thing is like really close to your material, it's got a little metal arm that swings down. It only gives you like a millimeter or two clearance just for the focal point of the laser. And that works out extremely well as far as like trying to figure out like what you want to etch and how far away you need the thing to be. I did try etching onto acrylic, and it doesn't work at all. Like not even a little bit. Um, it basically burned little like pit holes or something into the into the plastic, but I need to play around with acrylic a little bit more. And then I also picked up some aluminum uh, business cards as well. I might etch my name onto some of those. But those were a little spendy, and I don't know what I would print on those that I would like want to give those away. I might do something where it's like, see if I can like punch a hole or something in it and or like make like little signs or something like that. So I'm trying to think of you know, so many days until Christmas or so many days until Easter, those kinds of things where you can like just swap in the numbers. I've seen some 3D printed things where it's got like it'll actually print a block with all the numbers on them, and you just like every day you get up and you turn the block or twist the block or change the block for another block, and you can basically count down towards like some kind of event. So I was thinking, I've actually seen 3D, or not 3D, but like laser engraved things where it like cuts out like all the little square edges and that it fits together as a little box. So I want to see if I can find some plans for just the little box layout, so I can actually like put my own custom numbers in there and like assemble those things and like make that kind of thing available on the website. Started working on a new version of the website that'll let me go in and actually build out like a little inventory of like these are the kinds of things I can do, and then let people custom order stuff. So we'll see how that goes. Um, but yeah, if anybody else wants anything etched on one of these pieces of wood tonight, let me know. Just ask that you cover the cost of postage. I've already paid for the boards, so I'm not looking to recoup anything here. This is mostly just practice, and also allows me to get like some video content as well. Because I have an agreement with these folks to do a number of videos for a couple of months, and then I get to keep the laser engraver for free. So I've got to go through. I've got to finish up the editing of the unpacking, unboxing, assembly kind of video and kind of those first impressions. Now that I've actually gotten everything tightened down, I've made a couple of smaller recordings about like, hey, go do those, calibration grids and things like that. So I've already made those videos, but I got to get them cleaned up and stuff like that. But yeah, I need ideas for content. So I'm trying to think of like, can I do like those little cards and then, or like the little boxes and some of the little boxes and things like that. And then anything I'm etching on here, I want to figure out a way of like just putting that stuff online for people to cover the cost of the material or whatever, um, or just the cost of shipping in this case, just to, you know, that way I'm not like, you know, accumulating clutter in my basement. So try to clear this stuff out as much as I can. So. So what else is going on? How's everybody else doing? Take a moment and watch like 15 seconds of this. All right. Just watching this giant box that this guy built. Oh, wow. It's up on hinges and everything. Wi-Fi camera, LED panel. That's actually a pretty nice layout. Got everything nicely sealed. All the wires and stuff coming in. Laser light can be very dangerous. Having the thing like completely fly off the table, that's not a good not a very good design. The Creality one actually looks a lot thinner, a lot lighter than the ATEZR one. The ATEZR one seems actually pretty sturdy. Like it's not heavy, but it's very well built as far as like the aluminum assembly and so on. Cool. Yeah, I'll watch the rest of that later. Um, yeah, thanks for sharing that, RC. Yeah, the enclosure box actually looks really neat. Like the hinge system that he's got on there looks really, really neat. I might do the opposite where his was, you know, just a really thin base and then everything else kind of came around the, you know, the outside and that whole heavy part lifted up. I might do the opposite where it's just the box you put the thing in and then it's just the lid that has to open. I would think that that would be a lot less weight and a lot less pressure on the hinges and things like that, as far as like trying to lay that kind of thing out. But I like the way that he set it up as far as like enclosing everything and having the ventilation and stuff like that. It looked pretty neat. So make some crazy prints. Looked like he had a really monstrous sized printer in the corner of his room. Like looking at it from kind of far away, I'm like, dang, how big is that? How big is that frame that he had in the background? Cool. So yeah, if anybody else wants anything etched, let me know. As long as it's family friendly and work friendly, things like that. You know me. I like to keep it pretty friendly on the channel. If you want a dad joke, let me know. I got a couple of dad jokes now. If you just want to cover the cost of postage, I'll send it your way. I was also trying to think of like 3D printing a stamp or something to like stamp on the back, or maybe I could just etch something on the back, like the business name or something like that. Actually found out that .llc is actually a top level domain. So I registered iandouglas.llc because I actually have iandouglas.com as an LLC. And so I want to like branch off into all the different things. I think if you go to iandouglas.llc as a website, it'll kind of branch off onto all the different websites and stuff like Twitch and like the Tech Interview Guide and iandouglas.com and the cool3dthings.com, stuff like that. He created multiple giant printers and CNCs. I've seen a lot of people doing that kind of stuff. Like I was on Printables the other day, trying to think of like, has anybody got 3D printed accessories and things like that that they've done for laser engravers. And it looks like a handful of people have actually designed like those little rotary tools. But the rotary tools actually aren't that expensive. You can buy them now for like $100. Obviously, they go up a lot more money from there, but I'm a little bit curious how those actually wire into the laser engraver. That the laser engraver, instead of advancing one of the axes, that it's actually like rotating the other axis. Like, do you literally unplug a wire that controls your y-axis and you plug it into the rotary tool? Like, I haven't seen anybody really explain that. Like, how do you actually connect those things? Like, how do they work together to like laser engrave something and then turn the rotary tool instead of like moving the x axis or something like that? So I want to look into that kind of stuff, and then also trying to think of just other things to kind of produce as laser engraver content. Like I've got a lot of first impressions now about this laser engraver, but I've also got questions about like upgradability and things like that. Like, you know, this thing right now is set as a 5-watt laser. Is it possible to buy the 10-watt laser and just swap out those parts? Or do I need like a whole other motherboard? Like, do I have to buy like the whole other unit for the 10-watt laser in order to upgrade? Or if I want to upgrade all the way to like their 35-watt laser, do I have to change everything? Is it just the power supply and the laser head? Like, what would I have to change to actually upgrade this thing? Or if you know, this laser quits, can I buy like some third party laser and plug it in instead? That as long as it's still a 5-watt laser or 6-watt laser, is it gonna work? Like, is that kind of stuff standard, or are all these parts proprietary? You know, is it more like the open source 3D printer where, you know, you can go in and you can swap out the parts as long as you know what you're doing as far as like machining it and putting the stuff together? Is it compatible enough from one hardware manufacturer to another? I'd be kind of curious about that. Depends on how many steppers you have. So I've only got, well, this one has one stepper for the Y, one stepper for the X, I believe. Is it one on the Y? Yeah, it's one on the Y with the smooth rod, and then the X has one. You can actually see it in the top of the image right here, the very top left corner. That's actually the motor, I think, that's running the. Actually, no, it would have three motors because it's also got one to actually move the head, the laser itself on the gantry. So one for the X gantry, one for the Y gantry, and then one to actually move the laser back and forth on the gantry. Just catching up on your chat there, RC, about the min temp. So the min temp on that sounds like the thermistor on the print bed went bad. I've had that happen a bunch on my Mark IIIs. I got really good at like disassembling just enough to like flip that bed over, change out the thermistor, and flip it back. I really wish that they had done a better job of making the things modular at the point of the bed itself and not have to run the wire all the way back to the Rambo board. That's a little annoying. What I ended up doing on several of my Mark IIIs over the years is just coiling the wire over top of the mesh and not actually putting the wire through the mesh, because like trying to, you know, pull out one wire and like feed the other one in is such a pain in the butt. But I got really good at swapping those out. I think I probably changed 4 or 5 of those over the years. While preparing to buy a replacement, I saw there was new firmware. One of them was the M112 emergency stop. Huh. So I must be a couple of versions of firmware behind because I haven't had that problem. I've literally only had the like the actual thermistor like completely crap out. And I verify it with like a heat gun. Like you put the heat gun on there and it doesn't register any change whatsoever. So I'm glad for you that it's just a software thing that you don't actually have to go in and change out that hardware, because that's kind of a pain for sure. It's just 312.2. I think I'm still on some variant of 310 or something like that. Maybe 311, but it's been a minute. I'm firmly in the camp of it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. I mean, for a while I'm like, oh, new firmware, just go ahead and upgrade just because. And then I realized like, maybe you don't have to upgrade the firmware. So I decided not to. So what else can I laser etch on this thing? I was trying to think of like, because this stuff is really thin, doing something like keychains or whatever out of the wood wouldn't be terribly practical. But I suppose if you had like a keychain where it wasn't like going in your pocket all the time, you could probably like, cut out like a keychain shape or whatever. I'm just not sure how well it would hold up like long-term use, but trying to think of like little things that I can 3D design and uh, and start doing some etching. Figure out like how many keychains can I lay out on these 4x6 cards. Like I said, I've got a bunch of these clear aluminum things. Originally, my thinking with this was like you can buy those things where like a beam of light kind of shines up underneath it, and whatever gets etched into the acrylic is kind of what gets shown. So I was thinking like if I could etch a message or something onto the acrylic and then put an LED underneath it, and then like 3D print an enclosure for that you just like plug in a USB thing and it would like light up your little sign. Then you could like swap these things out for whichever message, or like maybe it's the day of the week and like, you just put in like today's Thursday and you put in the Thursday card or something like that. So I was trying to think of like things like that, but I got to figure out how to actually etch acrylic. Because like I said, trying to burn like just, it was literally just my name and address or whatever, just kind of like a business card kind of idea. It doesn't etch as like a smoky sort of thing. It literally made like a tiny little burn mark. Like you can't even really see it on here, but well, you can kind of see it. It looks like it's dirty. You get these two little spots right here on the acrylic, and it's not dirt. It's literally just like tiny little burn mark in the acrylic. So I got to figure out like how do you how do you etch onto acrylic? Because I really want to try that. Shine the light up from underneath. The problem is these things are really thin. Like the wood I think is 2 millimeters thick, and I'm pretty sure this acrylic is like 1 millimeter thick. And so to do like some sort of 3D printed thing where this thing can fit in 1 millimeter and still have like enough lights hitting the bottom of it that it can like shine in there in some way might be a little tricky, but I'm thinking like, can I 3D design something like that? I don't think acrylic works with diode lasers. Oh, you think you might need the CO2 laser? Hey, maybe see, good to see you in coding class right now. Mostly just lurking. No problem. Good luck in your coding class. We're just custom etching things for people and offering it to them for the cost of postage. So if you want any sort of motivational message or a dad joke or anything like that, feel free to drop that in chat, and we'll get those queued up and sent out to folks. I got a couple of dad jokes that I've etched now, but yeah, just trying to think of like what can I do. I mean, 4x6 card is kind of limiting. One idea, like another idea that I had was like custom design a frame of some kind and like cut out the inside, and that way you can put like a 3x5 photo behind it, and then you've got like a frame to go around it. So I've got a few ideas kind of cooking for making like a custom frame. And so then you could get like one piece of the wood, put your photo on that, and then put the custom frame over the top of it and like glue those together, or like leave it open at the top that you can like take the photo in and out or something like that, but like glue it at the bottom, or like figure out a way to secure it here at the bottom but leave the top open that they can like pull the photo out, something along those lines. And just make like little custom photo frames for people, or like put your family name on the bottom of the frame or something like that. Those kinds of things could be fun. It's so easy. I'm having more difficulty paying attention than understanding. That's funny. Well, pay attention to your teacher. That's what they're there for. But NumPy's pretty cool. Let's see what else is going on with everybody this week. Hopefully, hopefully you've all had a better week than me. My week has been quite a week, for sure. Between kid getting suspended and losing an uncle and giant resin spill in my basement. So now my basement smells of resin and alcohol and burning wood. It's quite the mix down here for sure. Internet says you can't cut acrylic with a diode laser. All right. Maybe C says it doesn't help that I have a bias towards R. It's a boot camp, so I paid a lot for this. Yeah, definitely. Like you should be paying attention if you pay for a boot camp. Those things are not cheap. Yeah, RC, that's right. You had your family visiting. Hope that all went well. So you can't even cut acrylic with a diode laser? Is it because it's translucent? Or is it literally like the laser's not strong enough, or it's just the wrong kind of laser? Because the acrylic actually came with like a film on both sides, and I'm wondering if that would kind of dull down the laser light enough to actually like cut through the material or something. You need to have a laser at the wavelength where it isn't transparent, which looks like you'd need an IR laser. Interesting. Thanks for that, Icy Black. All right. So I've got 100 pieces of acrylic that are of absolutely no use to me whatsoever, is what you're telling me. Now I got Adam Sandler's Wedding Singer in my head. Like, that information would have been useful yesterday. Do you need safety goggles right now? I don't, because it's on the other side of the room and I've got like monitors and PC and stuff sort of in the way. But also the way that the laser is kind of sort of facing right now, there's no chance of that laser light like getting into my eyeball. The little white thing that you see up in the very, very top right corner over there is actually a miniature air filter that they actually sell for resin printers. They've got like little tiny fans in there with some activated charcoal, and so it pulls a little bit of the smoke, but they're like way too small. But that's also blocking a bunch of the laser light. If I walk over there and it's etching, then I've got safety glasses over on the other workbench. But it's literally like 15 feet away from me right now, and I've got no danger of getting lasered in my eyeball. I didn't pick this thing up for laser eye surgery, so. But yeah, thanks for the concern. I appreciate it. When we unboxed it, and I had it here on this workbench when we unboxed it, I had the glasses on all the time. Family member got pink eye. Oh boy, that's not good. Hey, that's cool. Washing hands. What do you want to do? Print's looking good. Have to AFK. No problem. Blacksmith Pop. It is coming out pretty nice. It should be done here in about another 10 minutes or so. Is it colored acrylic? No, right now it's all cleared. It's just see-through clear acrylic. They did send me 3 tiny little pieces of like pure black acrylic. Like it's not see-through at all, but I haven't tried etching onto this. They've actually pre-cut it like a keychain. And it's got like some kind of plastic film on both sides, I think, or at least on one side. It's got a plastic film on one side and the other side is just not covered at all. But they only sent like 2 or 3 of these tiny little keychains. And these are also a lot thicker. Are these 2 millimeters? Yeah, these are 2 millimeter thick pieces of acrylic. But they also didn't say like, hey, you can cut on this. I'm presuming I'm just etching onto this. It might be possible to put an opaque coating like paint on the acrylic. So that's, oh, because that's where the laser actually heats up. Oh, that's interesting. So I'm wondering if I paint the bottom of the acrylic and I shine the laser through it, would that heat up? Because as I was saying, Icy Black, I don't know whether you caught it. The acrylic sheets that I got, I just picked these up on Amazon. They actually came with a film on both sides, like it kind of I wouldn't even call it translucent. It was a pretty opaque film. Um, like if you shot like a light through it, you could see that there was light coming through. So it's a tiny bit translucent. But it was like smoky glass kind of thing on both sides. So I was wondering if etching onto that would be enough, or cutting through it would be enough. But yeah, I was gonna say like I would love to like etch, the name of the week or something, or the day of the week or something, and have that like on a little thing that you can like fit in a slot and have an LED shine up from underneath, so you see the thing light up, kind of like some of those little signs that you see in the background that some people have on their streams. I was trying to think of things like that that I could do. If it won't work with clear acrylic, then that's fine. I'll just find somebody to buy those things off of me or something, or I'll use them for Raspberry Pi boxes or something like that. But if I can actually cut the actual plastic, that would be kind of handy. Also, don't know about fumes. That's a good point. Yeah, I probably definitely want some ventilation before I get into cutting plastic down here. I feel like they make paints specifically for doing stuff like that. I don't know specifics. Okay. Yeah, like I'm almost wondering, like even if I could just etch something on one side, I've got clear UV resin. If I could put that and like sandwich two of them together, where I could like really deeply etch into one side, put some resin in there, glue these things together with some resin or something like that with clear resin. Um, if that would be enough to like hold them together, to like permanently kind of glue them together, and just use like a UV flashlight or something to harden that resin, if that would be enough. I don't know. I'm gonna have to tinker with that. So that'll be like my Thursday experiments, off and on. I'm not gonna do laser etching every Thursday. But this company did want me to put together a bunch of videos. So I put together a couple of shorter videos today. Just of, hey, go do these calibrations, and then kind of a follow up like, hey, I also did this calibration, make sure you're checking this and that. So I've got some of those videos kind of made. They want me to post those on my Twitter feed. So apologies in advance. I'll be having those things on the Twitter feed in the future. But I'm also going to send them links to like these full VODs. So if people are kind of curious about the process and what we've talked about, can we etch acrylic or not? Talking about like the little welcome sign that I made, and all the different iterations of this that I had to go through to actually get around to like cutting all the different pieces out for this sign. So this looks actually pretty neat from a 3D sort of sign perspective, but it's also kind of small. I mean, 4x6 card, but if you have like an apartment or a bedroom or something, you just want to like stick this on your bedroom door, like a little double-sided sticky tape on the back, glue the pieces down together. You got a little welcome sign. It actually did a pretty good job etching this. But I also want to try to find like royalty-free kinds of things that you can like etch and sell, or like people's Patreons or something like that, where people are designing these kinds of things for laser engravers, that I can like be a part of those communities as well and find other interesting things to do etching and cutting and stuff like that. So if anybody has resources on those kinds of things, I'd love to see them. I've evaluated probably 3 or 4 sites now, and some of them are okay. Some of them are better than others as far as the type of free content that's out there. Or there's free content, you just can't resell it, which is fine too. I'm fine like just etching things or cutting things and giving it away for free, just doing giveaways and stuff like that on the stream. But if anybody knows of any like commercial kinds of things, like like effectively like a My Mini Factory or things or something like that, where you can go pay for the thing and get a commercial license to like reproduce that, or even just to get some inspiration for, here's something that someone else made, and I can kind of reimagine it and like go design my own, kind of thing. That would be kind of helpful. I know Tinkercad will do SVG files. You can export as an SVG. So I'm debating, can I design something in Tinkercad, export that as an SVG to do like cutting of like those little cubes and things like that. But if those kinds of like, here's the layout for, you know, the 6 pieces that you need for a cube, and it'll, you know, does all the trace lines. You just go cut it and then you assemble that little cube yourself. If somebody's already got that model, like I'm happy to pay somebody for that. You know, if it's like pay for it one time and it's like $1 or $2 or something like that, and then I can just print or like etch as many of those as possible. There are a lot of stock image sites out there for sure. Not all of them are going to be good for laser engraving though. Like, you know, solid font like what we're doing here, like that's fine. But when you're getting into like it's almost like a clip art. Like we almost have to go back to the '90s clip art. You know, as far as like finding the simple line designs of things. I did find a 3D print of a Minecraft logo, and actually took that. I think it took that into Tinkercad, flattened it down to like 0.1 millimeters, and I exported that as an SVG. And I tried doing like etching and cutting with that, and it didn't work out well because I didn't have that smooth rod in place properly, and so it didn't work. So I'll probably redo that over the weekend. But that person's design was also specifically not commercial, like no commercial use of that. So that wouldn't be something that I would, you know, turn around and try to sell that design or something like that. Hey, Osito Craft, good to see you. A box in the corner of your room has 54 CDs of clip art. That's exactly it. Like, my dad used to collect that stuff. Like, people collect Funko Pops and Pokemon cards. My dad would collect clip art CDs. And like, there's tons of clip art out there. Like, you don't even need the CDs. You just go onto Google and search for line art drawing of giraffe or whatever, and you're going to find like 500 giraffes. You know, some of them will end up being watermarked and whatever. So are they free or not to even just, you know? But if you're good at drawing, you know, or you have the means to like pay somebody to like draw the things for you, that might be a good way to go. But yeah. So again, if anybody else wants these, you know, little sayings or anything like that engraved, I got a bunch of dad jokes for the sake of a Cedar Craft coming in. When I die, I want to be cremated. It's my last chance to have a smoking hot body. I've got another dad joke over there about clearing some snow. We're doing this sign right now for Blacksmith Pop. If anybody wants a custom sign made, it's just a little 4x6 piece of wood. I'm happy to make a custom little sign for you for the cost of postage. So you pay a couple of bucks for some postage, and I'll etch on here whatever you like. It takes 30 to 60 minutes, depending on the complexity and the font that you choose and things like that, and how much text is actually on there. But I can also do them vertically as well if you want to do like a vertical design, if you want like something much longer written on there. So yeah, if anybody has anything that they'd like, feel free to let me know in chat. Happy to build out any other designs. This one for Blacksmith Pop is almost done, and we'll get these mailed out probably tomorrow, this one for Blacksmith Pop. But if anybody wants the dad jokes, let me know. Or I'll hang on to them, and we'll do them as a giveaway. Oh, you know what? Maybe I'm going to put one of them in a treasure chest for Attila. I'm going to put one of the dad jokes in there for Attila, I think. Which one? Smoking Hot Body or the snow shoveling one? I'm trying to remember where Attila's from, if they even have snow. I want to say they were in Washington. Wait, idea. All right, let me know your idea, RC. Put a card in the treasure chest that says, "We've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty." That's brilliant. That might actually be a good use for the little aluminum card that I can etch. So I've got some aluminum business cards. I think they're up here on my desk, actually. That would actually be a brilliant use for one of these. So these are really, really thin, like super duper thin, but it's just a matte black finish on there. That would be a great thing to put on there, actually. I'm gonna do that. so let's go design something for that. I need to get some measurements of this thing. I want to say it's like 50 by 100. It's 55 by 85. 55 by 85. All right, let's go have some fun. All right, Blacksmith Pop's design is all finished. So if anybody else wants anything etched, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to go into Canva and we're going to design this new one for this. So let's go through and we're going to create a new design. Custom size. This one's going to be 85 millimeters by 55 millimeters. This is something where I'd love to pull in like, you know, one of these background designs or something like that and etch that on the card as well, but that might get a little too complicated. Oh, if I can do just those leaves, maybe. I don't know. I'll have to see if we can find something where there's not going to be a ton of stuff to etch on there. Like I'm thinking something like this, but like keep just that outline, like erase all this other stuff on the inside and just keep that outline so that outline gets etched in there. I think I'm going to do something like that. We'll have to see how well this is actually going to show up. So I need to figure out, can I remove that background image? Yep, we can do that. There we go. A brilliant idea, RC. Thank you for the idea here. Can I zoom in? That's already zoomed all the way in. That's wild. Wish I could make that a tiny bit bigger. Let's also get rid of that little glyph in the middle. All right, so I need to add some text on here. And we need to pick a font of some kind. We've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. So is there that? Do we do that one, or do we do? You know, I'd like to join your network on LinkedIn. That was the other kind of ubiquitous one back in the day. So how does that look from an overall design point of view? I'm not sure how well the design of these little like flourishes on the corner are gonna print, or gonna like, it's a 0.06 focal point, like 0.06 millimeter focal point on the laser. So it should be able to get into some pretty fine detail. Came out really nice. Yeah, you bet, Blacksmith Pop. So we're designing a little card to put in the, oh, I just realized this thing's like super tiny on the screen for everybody else to see. Oops, that's not what I want to move. I want to move this one. Make this one a little bigger here. So I'm trying to figure out how to make this a little bigger as far as the overall design. Sorry, I'm going to like completely butcher my layout here on the screen for a minute. So RC Maniac gave us the idea that the treasure chest that I'm going to send out, I'm going to put this little card in here as well. Say, we've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. Should probably spell extended properly. Extended warranty. Is that enough, or should we add anything else? Let me know what you think, and I'll export this, and we'll etch that onto one of these little business cards, and we'll add that in as a fun little surprise. What's everybody think? Does that look okay? Give me a thumbs up in chat or something if you think that's enough, or if I should add something else on there. You think it's good? All right. Let's go download that one. Download as an SVG. Transparent background. And we will save this as extended warranty business card. All right, let me go upload that over to my Google Drive. All right, let me go swap that out and reposition the laser and stuff, and we'll go give this a shot. I'll be right back. All right, we got everything lined up, but I need to double check the settings for etching onto aluminum. Make sure that I set the power and the speed properly. So engraving on coated aluminum, 80 power at 500 speed. All right, I'll be right back. All right, we're off and running. Just realized my canvas screen was completely blocking out this entire thing for everybody. Go back and fix that here. So we got the card in place. I went in and I set all the settings for the power and so on, but I don't think it's actually etching anything on there. It looks really, really faint. So I might have to bump it up and like do it again, but we'll see. We'll see what it looks like. Oh, you know what? I didn't drop the thing down. That's why. Let me stop it and start it again. Take another card over just in case. I forgot to set the. What did I put to block the light? It's not blocking any light right now. All right, I'm back. RC said there's something there. As far as blocking the light, I mean, it's got, there's a coating on the aluminum. So this is an aluminum, these are aluminum cards with black paint on them, and it's just going to etch away the paint. So I'm not sure what you mean by blocking the light. But hopefully this will go a little bit better. It was too far away from the card before, so I dropped the laser down. Hopefully that'll be enough to actually etch properly on there. But RC, let me know what you mean by the blocking the light. Something was showing up on the card. You seem to have two speakers. Oh, so they aren't speakers. Those are little air filters. They're like little resin air filters that Anycubic makes, and I put those down there just to absorb a little bit of fumes. There's activated charcoal in them, and they're just they're rechargeable battery powered. And normally you would put one of them inside the resin printer to kind of like pull out the fumes and kind of like lower the amount of resin fumes. I put it next to the laser printer just to kind of pull off any fumes that it can, but it does also help block the light from like, you know, any kind of leakage over from the other side of the room to some degree. But yeah, they're just little tiny air filters, but there's like a little fan inside there, but it's not very powerful at all. Like when I do the wood etching, like the whole basement still fills up with like smoke and stuff like that. You don't it doesn't really alleviate much of the smoke at all on there. So yeah, so this will be pretty fun. So we'll see how well this is gonna like finish etching out. I'm worried that it just resumed where it was because it didn't look like it drew that square around like last time. So we'll see how well that actually shows up. Um, I actually did have the laser on while it was doing the framing, and I'm wondering if that actually etched into the paint. But we'll see what this looks like once it finishes. And the box around some of this stuff, if I go back to Canva here, like bring this back up, notice the box here had it effectively has like two lines. One's really thin, one's a little thicker, and it's got like that little notch out of the corner. I don't think that actually came through on the SVG file. Because when I look at the SVG file, it's literally just a rectangular box all the way around. So I think it missed the little cutout part on there, but we'll see what it looks like once it finishes up here. Um, the like from a text point of view, it's coming through nice and clear. Like we're trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. It's etching really nice onto that aluminum card. We'll take a look at it once it's all finished. I'll bring it out here and show it on the camera. I need a better like overhead camera for this kind of thing to actually show like after the fact. But I mean, for now, this is pretty fun. So yeah, if anybody wants those dad jokes, let me go grab those other boards. I'll be right back. All right, so this is the one for Blacksmith Pop. Do not be anxious about anything. And then the other dad joke. This is what we were etching when we first started the stream. I was clearing snow off the driveway with my son today. He looked at me and said, "Dad, I wish you'd use a shovel." So if anybody wants the dad jokes, I've also got the smoking hot body one. If anybody wants either of these, you just want to cover the cost of shipping. It's like probably $3 or $4 to ship. Let me know, and we can work that out. Blacksmith Pop sent a little PayPal for sending this one over. It actually came out really nice. Pretty happy with that. It etched just dark enough that it didn't like engrave too deep into the actual veneer. Um, so yeah, that actually came out pretty nice. All right, so now it's doing all the little tiny like etching flourishes and things like that. We'll have to see how well that actually comes out once those finish, because that's a pretty small. Yeah, see there, it just did a full rectangle. It didn't do like the little notch in the corner like we saw in the other image. So I don't know if something just didn't export properly, but let me go grab that card and we'll take a look at it. All right, so from a learning curve point of view, that actually etched pretty well into the card. A couple of downsides to this process. When I dropped the laser down on top of it, I swung the little arm out and then dropped it down onto the aluminum. It actually dented the aluminum because the aluminum is so thin. And then when I actually like moved the arm back off, it actually left a really big scratch in the aluminum. So the paint that's on here is really, really thin coat of paint. But overall, it etched pretty nicely, but it completely lost the detail. But you can see under the middle, my middle finger here, that darker spot is actually the dent in the card. It actually dented pretty well in there, and then it scratched later on. But the detail of the line you can barely see, and the little things in the corners, like I can kind of see two of them, but I can't see two of them at all. Like one looks like it didn't even try to etch. Um, I might buy one of the dad jokes too. The cremation one's funny since I'm on the board of directors for a small cemetery. There you go. Yeah, I'll send that one over. I'll just throw it in the same package for you. So yeah, let's go back and rebuild this thing in Canva because this did not work out the way we thought. We'll keep the text on there, but I think we'll change what we got in that background. Let's pull this up a little bit bigger here and pull this over. Text-wise, like I can read that text okay, but I think I'm going to make that text a little bigger. We'll go, yeah, 3-point font will definitely be better for that. Let's see if we can get that kind of centered. So that'll be perfectly centered on the card. Now we'll see if we can find some other design to go around it. Oh, it's got to replace the whole thing. All right, so let's just copy that onto our clipboard. Replace the current page. Nah, I mean, it's not horrible, but again, it's just got two really thin lines. I'm not sure how well that's going to actually etch onto the card, so we'll keep looking through some designs here. Actually got like actual business card designs. Go back. They got a postcard looking thing. I could do a postcard. But yeah, something like this where it's like really big sort of text. You know, get rid of this background in the back. But, you know, using like a big thick font or something like this would actually etch really, really nicely on the black card. I was trying to think of an overall sort of layout that we could use here instead. A lot of these are pretty elaborate because they're meant to be, you know, images like that. But if we search for business card, I'm sure they're going to have some business card layouts here that we can take a look at. So this one's got a much thicker line going around it than what we saw before. Still not like completely thrilled about it, but yeah, again, they're expecting like full color print, you know, kinds of things. That one's kind of fancy. What else we got in here? I kind of want to find just some clip art of a car or something on there and like. All right, so let's just go. We'll just make our own here. I want it to be on a white background. So we'll start with this and we'll just clear all this other stuff off. I mean, those lines aren't bad, but I think I would want them to be a little thicker. But Canva doesn't give you a ton of options on modifying these lines. All right, so let's just go in. We'll add our own text. Text box. Add that in, get rid of that, and we're going to make that a 3-point font, so it'll be nice and thick. We'll center that overall on the card. And then we want just a picture of a car or something in the background. No, I don't want a font. I want something from a design. Oh, there we go. This is kind of what we're looking for right here. Except I don't want that gray background. We'll replace that with our text. And then bring this down. I kind of want to keep that as a 3-point font. Oh yeah, this is going to be good. So let's get rid of, wait. Oh, that's the whole thing. I can't just clear out part of it. It looks like it's going to be the whole thing. Right, so that's not going to work. I wanted to clear out just these lines on the bottom and move the font down here at the bottom instead. Because it's going to be hard to read. It's going to be hard to read the text with those lines in the way. Unless I can mask that out with a box or something. See if I can pull that out of the way here. Go to design, elements. I want to draw just a box. Give me a box. And let's clear this stuff out along the bottom here. Let's do one of these. And I'll make that white. Actually, no. So we have to give it some kind of color. So we'll just make it white. And then we'll bring that text down here. Oops. Come on, text. Come back. There we go. Something like that. That's kind of what I'm thinking, except we got like the tail end of this other star over here on this side that I kind of want to mask out. So I'm a little bit curious how we can do that. I might need another little box in there, so just a little box. Okay, let me move that little box. There we go. Over there, and we will make that box white background as well. All right, let's see if we can export this as an SVG and what it actually looks like. If I can also copy that box and put it in the whole background, can I move that to the back and gradually bring that to the front? Send backward. There we go. Control. There we go. No, I don't want that. I do want the lines, but I don't want this gray part in here. So I can get rid of that. There we go. Oh, I see why they had that on there, because it was actually masking some of that out. Okay, so can I grab that and change the color of that to be white? There we go. Canva for the win. What do we think? Can I change the opacity? So I think we'll try this. I think we'll export this. We'll see if we can get this to etch. Hopefully it'll show up okay on another card. So let's try this. So download as an SVG. We'll replace the old one. We go upload that to Google Drive. Replace. All right, let me go pull that over here and we'll see what that one looks like. Let me change this browser window back. Oops, not that one. Browser window. There we go. Pull that back down so we can kind of see what's going on here. All right, I'll be right back. All right, we're gonna have to export this as an actual image. The SVG, everything is hollow, and so it's just everything is an outline, and it also didn't mask the stuff on the bottom where we put those white boxes. So that's not going to work out for our purposes. So I need to actually download this as a ping file, and we'll do it as an image instead. So let me do a download as a ping. I'll give this a shot. Extended warranty business card. Wait, okay, there we go. All right, let me go upload that one. All right, let me try this again. Bear it back. All right, that worked, except it's tiny. And trying to blow that up to print on the business card is actually going to really pixelate things. So I need to figure out how do we scale this up, make it bigger. So I need to go see if I can resize and make it a lot bigger than this. Oh yeah, this thing is supposed to be way bigger than 22 by 14. The whole thing was supposed to be, what do we say, 85 by 55. There we go. Oh, it's much better. All right, let me go export that. Download, ping. We'll get there eventually. Extended warranty, replace the file. And in the Google Drive, replace the old one. All right, I'll be right back. All right, we're off and running. It's going to take half an hour to do because it's an image, and the image format takes a little bit longer to etch, but it's off and running. So we'll we will try to reach our friend about their car's extended warranty. We'll see. We'll see what this actually looks like when it finishes etching. But yeah, great idea, RC. Thanks for the idea on that. I think that'll be fun to put in there. So yeah, so we'll see what this looks like once it finishes up. So yeah, so blacksmith pop, I'll send that one in the cremation one. I'll send both of those your way. I may touch this one up a little bit with a pen just to make some of the font a little bit darker. But it actually came out pretty nice. And then if anybody else wants this dad joke, let me know, and I'll send that your way. Just for the cost of shipping, be a couple of bucks to send it your way. Happy to send that out to anybody. And then yeah, we'll get those sent out tomorrow. So yeah, let's color this one in a little bit here. Let me find a good fine tip pen. Cool. All right. I just touched up just a couple of the letters on there. Actually, need to do that one. The letter S, for some reason, it didn't always join the segments of the S. So I got that all touched up for blacksmith pop. So that came out much clearer. So I'll send that over your way. We used a different font for the Bible verse, and that one actually came out just fine. So I'm going to leave that as is. So yeah, I'll get those sent over to you tomorrow. So don't forget to send me your contact info, because I don't keep contact info. So I know I've sent you stuff in the past, but I don't keep that stuff around. So send me that contact info again, and I'll get that sent over to you. Yeah. Oh, look at this one etching. This one's coming out super clean. Look at that font coming in the bottom there. Let me move Canva out of the way. Come on, Canva. Let's move that out of the way. Look how clean that font is etching on the business card. That looks so good. Can't see because of the shadow. Oh, there you can kind of see a little bit, but once the shadow kind of covers over it, you don't see it, but you'll see it on the right side of the card. Looks super clean coming through. So pretty happy about this. Hey, Sailor. I've been lurking watching your job stuff for a while. Got my first job offer. Yeah. SE1 position today. That's amazing. That's the second person I've heard this week. The other one was Madeline of Rivia, who comes by the stream once in a while. Madeline went through 100 devs and also got a job offer. They start their job in April across the country, so they got to move across the country. So they got a month to like pack and move. But they also got their first job in tech, so I'm super excited about that. What great news! Thank you for sharing that with us. That's fantastic. You added it in PayPal. Okay, cool. If you sent that on PayPal, then don't worry about it. But Sailor, that's fantastic. Tell us about the job. So Thursday I kind of changed to be kind of my maker night, where I'm doing like 3D printing or painting, or in this case 3D engraving and etching. So we've been etching like little dad jokes and sayings and stuff like that. Blacksmith Pop asked for a custom one. I've also got a couple of dad jokes. We're going to send one of these to Blacksmith Pop, but we've got this one. If you want a dad joke on a sign, let me switch over to this scene so you can see it a tiny bit better. So for the cost of postage, or if you want anything else kind of etched on a piece of wood, so this is a 4x6 piece of wood. It's just called basswood. It's a very light colored wood. It's a veneer on plywood, so it's about 2 millimeters thick. But if you'd like something custom engraved on here, maybe something about your job, like congrats on getting the job or something like that. If you want like some kind of little motivational saying for yourself, I'm happy to do that for just the cost of postage. Send me a couple of bucks for shipping. It'll probably be like $3 or $4, and I'll mark on the thing like fragile, do not bend, so hopefully it won't show up like cracked or in pieces. But yeah, tell us about your job. I'm always curious about folks that drop by and say, hey, followed some of your help and some of your advice and got a job. Always happy to hear details about it. So let us know about that. Hey, Attila, good to see you. Thanks for dropping by the stream. We're having some fun with some 3D etching and stuff right now. I've got the treasure chest ready to go. I should show you the. So we got all the coins and the gold bars printed up, and so those are in the bottom of the treasure chest right now. So pull some of these out here, get a better look at them. So the gold bars came out really, really clean, and then the coins. So a lot of detail on the coins. Kind of see it with the light. The light's really bright. Let me turn the light off a little bit here. The camera sometimes does a better job showing the details when there's not as much light. And so it's got kind of that design on both sides of the coin. There we go. See it pretty good there. So I've got, what, 5 bars and 9 coins or something like that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, there's 9 coins and 5 bars. So we'll get that all boxed up for you, Attila, and we'll get this sent out to you probably tomorrow. Well, actually, I'm going to try to box it up tonight, and I'll see if I can get that in the mail to you tomorrow. So thanks for sending that stuff over. The gold bars turned out great, Memetics. They turned out really fantastic. Thanks for the design on that. They came out really, really clean. Dimensions came out good. So the dimensions came out like perfectly. I think I did, let's say like 5% infill. So the bottom of it, you get a bit of the texture from the bed, but yeah, they came out perfect. So these were done on the bamboo. The little chamfer on the bottom came out nice and smooth. Just enough like edging around there that I didn't need to put supports under these curved edges. But the prints came out fantastic. So yeah, it came out really, really smooth overall. Like not a lot of ringing. There's tiny bit of ringing. I don't think the camera's even going to pick it up. In person, you can see there's a tiny bit of ringing in there, but that's the printer, not the design. But yeah, overall they came out nice. So we got 5 little bars, 9 little coins going in the treasure chest. So yeah, we're having some fun with 3D etching tonight. So if you want a custom sign or something like that, we're gonna send Blacksmith Pop this one as well. And then we've got this dad joke as well. I was clearing snow off the driveway with my son today. He looked at me and said, "Dad, I wish you'd just use a shovel." So if anybody wants the dad joke, or if you've got something else that you'd like us to etch on a piece of wood, I'm etching another one right now. That'll be done in about a half hour, and then once it's done, we'll pull it off and we'll do another one in wood. If anybody else wants a sign or something like that, let me know, and we'll get these etched up for people. Just help me with the cost of shipping. Like literally, I'll let you know what the shipping's going to be, and you can send me PayPal or something like that. Happy to just do something fun and interesting to help people out. So yeah, I got everything working on the laser engraver. For those that are just dropping in, I got everything tuned up to where we can actually do really intricate kind of cut designs now. So this is 3 different pieces of wood, and so you can see here there's three different pieces. I'll pull it back from the light a little bit just so it doesn't shine, because it actually shines on that really fair colored wood quite a lot. But just to emphasize the 3D part of it, I'll kind of tilt it back a little bit. But yeah, each of these is its own like separate piece, and then they just kind of stack up on each other. So some of them have more cutouts than others. I might actually paint this middle one so we get kind of the bright color of the wood shining through these holes. and then we'll do like some color on that middle piece or whatever. I think it'd be kind of an interesting design to show all the way through. Um, so yeah, I might have some fun with painting on that. So I'm really happy with the laser engraver now that I got it tuned and I know how to do things properly on it. But like most tools, like once you know how to use the tool, it's like, oh yeah, a piece of cake. Like, you know, of course that's easy to do. It's easy once you know how to do it, but from a learning curve perspective, it definitely had some learning curve involved. I think the documentation on the assembly manual could have been a little bit better to let me know how to put that smooth rod in properly. Because a lot of the screws, either you had to put all of the screws in, but on the smooth rod, like some of them were there, some of them weren't there. I think that could have been documented better just for the ease of making sure that somebody new to building a machine like that can get up and running. So now that it's all tuned in, from there, basically what you do is you print out little like calibration things. So I did one. It was a calibration. Like once I got the smooth rod in properly, I just designed a bunch of squares, and then I got in with the calipers and measured that they were all exactly correct. And then just doing little calibration grids like this to try to figure out what speed and what power do I need to actually etch onto the wood. Like this one, not enough power. This one definitely needed way more power. And so I added more power, and it added so much power it literally cut through the wood up here in this top corner. So too much power on on that one. But you know, from looking at the piece of wood, trying to determine not just will it etch into the wood, but also how much do you want to etch? Because for example, let me turn the light off just so you can see a little more of the detail on here. For example, on these cuts down here by my index finger, you can see how the burn of the wood actually like goes up into the square a little bit. That might be desirable. Or on these ones here on the outside, you end up with a little bit of burn outside of the line, where these lines up here, sorry, over in here, you don't end up with as much of the burn around the square, and so it's a much cleaner cut. And it's a much cleaner sort of etch into the wood. And so depending on what you're doing with your project, you might want something where you get that extra little burn sort of effect, like you really kind of going for that old timey kind of look. Or if you want something really, really crisp, then you would pick, something up in here. And so this is where you would build out a little calibration chart like this. And in the software that they recommend for this laser engraver actually has this built in, where you literally just go in and you set how many rows, how many columns, what values do you want on there, and it basically figures out like how to build the grid, and then it just goes and prints the grid for you. And so you don't have to go in and meticulously add all these little squares. Like it just figures all that stuff out for you. And then now I can take a look at this and say, okay, I want a really clean line on this piece of wood. So I'm going to use like 400 speed at 90% power. And I have a pretty good idea what that square is going to look like. Or if I want it kind of old timey, if I want that extra little burn around the edge, then maybe I'm going to do more like 200 power at like 50% or 60% or something like that. And I'll get a little bit more of that sort of bleed around the thing. Or if I'm trying to punch all the way through, like this is what I need to do. And so understanding that about the material that you're printing on is going to be really important. So I made a couple of short videos about that earlier today. I'll get those posted because they want me to post these videos on YouTube. So I'll be posting some of that on my Twitter feed over the next little while. Not on YouTube. I'll be doing it on Twitter. They specifically asked for it over there. This is the ATEZR one, yeah. So yeah, it's pretty consistent quality now that we've actually got it like up and running and calibrated properly. I got the belts, dialed in. And the biggest thing for me on trying to get this thing calibrated, and I can show you on some of these other ones here where it was not working out very well. Show you this one. It won't be mirrored. So when I was first trying to do the welcome sign, you can see that the lines on the bottom of the letters don't line up. They're supposed to be the same thickness, like down this line down here that I'm kind of tapping with my little finger. That line's supposed to be the same thickness all the way across. And you see under the letter C and the letter O, like it's really inconsistent. And the triangle right under the C didn't even line up. And that was because the smooth rod wasn't connected properly. And so the gantry is run off of two belts, and there's a motor on one side and not on the other. And so in order to connect those belts to move at the same speed, it uses this smooth rod and it connects on this other side to turn its gear for that belt. But because the rod wasn't connected in the motor properly, when the thing would turn, it didn't always turn the rod, and so the gantry, like one side would move and then the other one would kind of follow along, and then it would move back down, the other one would kind of follow along, so you end up with a really bad skew. So once I figured out that that's what the problem was, and I literally needed to add one screw in the assembly, which wasn't part of the documentation. Once I got that figured out, it's been working brilliantly ever since. So then we're just trying to figure out, okay, well, what about other materials? Like, can we do acrylic? And basically what some folks in chat helped figure out tonight on here was that we probably won't be able to do very much with the clear acrylic. If we had like a fully opaque acrylic, then we can probably etch onto this. But we're probably not going to be able to etch onto clear acrylic. And so we're trying a metal business card right now. And if that works out okay, then we'll go back and we'll do more of these little signs for folks. So if anybody wants like a little sign like this, if you want like, a dad joke, or if you've got like a favorite motivational saying or something like that that you'd like etched onto a card, it's 4 inches by 6 inch card, and I can do them vertically as well if you got something longer. The amount of text and the size of the font and whatever will, these are right now they're taking about 45 minutes to etch. And so depending on the quality and how dark you want the print and stuff like that, it could take, if you want to do a vertical one with a lot of words, it would take a little bit longer, but not much longer, because really at the end of the day, it's still moving over a 4x6 area. So we'll see how long it'll take. If anybody's interested in that, just cover some postage for me. That's really all I'm asking. I've already paid for the material. It was only a couple of bucks for the material. I'm not too concerned about the expense of the wood itself. But I'm also looking for ideas around just like other content to make. Like, should I try to come out with like little keychain, key tag kind of things, or like little pet name tags or something like that? If you want like a little pet name tag, and then I can cut it out of the wood for you. Anything along those lines. If anybody's got ideas, I'm happy to entertain those. Because yeah, Thursday is kind of my my kickback and just make stuff kind of stream. So Sailor said in chat, you did the Turing backend program. Okay, graduated back in November. Job is fully remote for a biotech company. Be using Ruby on Rails. Awesome. That's fantastic. That's really cool. Ping me on Turing Slack. Let me know who you are, because I'm also on the Turing Slack channel as well. But yeah, ping me over there and send me some more details about the job. I'm always curious to hear from that. What else did I miss from Memetics? Heard you guys were looking for a model while you were working on something else. Yeah, I was really happy that you were able to throw that little gold bar together. The coins came out pretty good. All the laser engraved stuff is looking awesome. What make and model? So it's the ATEZR P5. So it's kind of their entry level model. They call it P5. It's a 6-watt laser. I've seen some references that it might be a 7-watt laser, but it's a pretty low power laser. So it'll cut through 2mm, like this is effectively plywood with veneer on it. It'll cut through this. It takes like 3 passes, maybe 4 passes, depending on like how strong you make the laser. And then we tried etching onto a little business card, and we found some learning curve with that. Yeah, it's the ATEZR P5. It has the little screen on the front, but that screen is mostly useless. I'm probably just going to disconnect it and take it off. It doesn't really serve any practical purpose for me. I may pick up the new rotary tool. They've got an old one for like $130, and they've got a new one for like $250. And basically what that is for is you can put like a round bottle or something on there, and as it's engraving, it'll actually turn the motor on the rotary tool, so you can actually print things on the side of something round. Depending on, how I'm feeling about the laser engraving, I may invest in that if I want to get into like doing tumblers or things like that. I may also pick up some of those little granite coasters, or like the little stone coasters, and see if I can etch onto the stone. Those look kind of neat. So I'm always looking for ideas. If anyone's got ideas for that kind of stuff, I'm happy to take suggestions. I can pick up like just 1 or 2 piece samples of some of this material, give it a try on the stream, make a little video about it, like, hey, I'm trying to do this thing on this stone coaster, and I tried this setting, I tried that setting, this one worked better. That all makes good content for other people that are also trying to do that kind of stuff. So can we cut the clear acrylic? So until someone actually looked it up, I think RC looked it up and said The general consensus on the internet is no, because this is a diode-based laser, not a carbon dioxide laser. It's not a CO2 laser. The diode laser, it actually needs some resistance to actually heat up the material that it's cutting through. And because this is clear, the light's just going to go straight through it. Now, the acrylic sheets that I got, they're like 1 millimeter thick, so they're super, super thin. And I thought, surely we can cut through this. It actually comes with an opaque film, but I would actually have to try something like these calibration tests on the acrylic with and without the film to see whether that actually works or not. But I tried etching just my name on here, like a little business card kind of thing, and it made these little burn spots. I'll pull it over here. You can see this white spot on here. It literally just burned into the plastic a tiny bit, but didn't actually like you can't actually discern the lettering that I tried to put on here. So, but it's a learning curve. This was also, I think, before I figured out the smooth rod wasn't in properly, so I might need to go back and take a look at some of that too. So I got learning. I got some learning to do. Love me some learning. So yeah, we'll definitely tinker and play around with that. If I can cut it, what I would love to do is 3D print like a little stand that you can put the little card in or something with the the day of the week or something like that. Because it's acrylic, what I'd really like to do is figure out like if I can etch into the plastic and then get the little LED light to kind of shine up from underneath. If you've ever seen those little like acrylic signs, or how they're cut or whatever, like the light coming up through it can make certain things kind of like really pop out of the plastic. So I kind of want to try that, or see if I can do like a photo or something where if the light comes in, you see more of the photo kind of showing through. And then that way you can just like pop these different cards in. So you want a different motivational message, you put that card in, put this one away, stuff like that. That's kind of what I'm hoping that I can do with these acrylic cards. I've got 100 of them, so I got to figure out something to do with them. But if I can't, then I'll figure out something else. I mean, I've got no shortage of ideas. I'll figure out like, can I 3D print something and put this like as like a clear window into a case of some kind for like a Raspberry Pi or something like that. I don't know. I'll figure something out. Probably get a laser cutter engraver eventually. Yeah, I mean, for me, like I couldn't justify the cost. I mean, they start about $200 and go up. The 20 watt and the 35 watt laser at a ATEZR, those are like $1,000 machines. And I'm like, I'm not going to spend $1,000 on an engraver and like use it 5 times. Like I was literally scratching my head, like, can I even make these kinds of things? And is it economically worth the cost? Like the 3D printers, yes, those are economically worth the cost. I can recoup that money, no problem. I can 3D print things. I can 3D print other things for other people. I can make designs for people. I can custom run like a bunch of manufacturing, and I can pay for the machines, no problem. With the laser engraving and the etching, that one's a little more nebulous to me, and I've been trying to think of custom things to make. So the latest one that I've got is I want to come up with like make like a picture frame. So this is a 4x6. You can buy 4x6 photos, but you can also buy 3x5 photos, which would give me a 1 inch or a ½ inch clearance all the way around that I could custom design a frame of some kind, cut the frame, and then figure out a way that they can mount the picture on like just a plain one and put the frame over top of it, and then sell those two pieces, like glue it at the bottom or something that they can like still just kind of fit the photo in through the top or through the side or something like that. And then maybe build out some kind of design for like a little leg on the back or something like that. Or I could even do like a 3D printed leg or a little stand or something that'll like prop the thing up or something like that, and just throw that in the box with it, like just a little 3D printed. Like you can find a lot of those little phone stands, and just throw one of those in here that this thing can kind of prop up on or something like that. That's really all someone would need. So trying to think of like custom frames, and then you could like customize the name on the bottom of the frame or something like that. And if there's a knot in the wood like this, I mean, that part's going to get cut out anyway, so it's no big deal. So really all I have to worry about is the edge of this clean. One thing that I noticed on some of these boards, none of the ones that I printed on because I specifically went through and picked them out, but some of the boards actually have a spot of, it's almost like a blue ink or something in the middle. And I'm almost wondering if this was like one really long sheet of plywood with a veneer, and they had like the little robot suction cups come and like pick the pieces up and like pull them away. if it's like left over from that suction cup or something, but there's like a little tiny blue spot right in the middle of a whole bunch of these pieces of wood. It's kind of frustrating. So we'll see how all that goes. Slim Pickens, good to see you as well. We're kind of nerding out with the laser engraver tonight. I'm gonna go check and see how far we're going on that one. I think it had a half-hour total etch time, so I'm gonna go check that out real quick. It's a surprise for somebody, so I don't want to show it on camera, but I'm gonna go see if it's done. I can't really see it from here. I'll be right back. All right. Well, it's coming out brilliantly. For those that got to see the design earlier, it's coming out amazingly well. So I'm really, really happy with it. So we'll definitely have some fun with that once it's finished. But yeah, let's go. I want to do one more thing here. Move that into here, and then we'll go back over to here. And we'll go over to here. And go over to here. And then go back over to create a new design. Oops. How do I pull up that other design? There it is. Cool. So if anybody else wants anything etched on a 4x6 card, let me know. And we can play around with that. Again, just asking that you cover the postage. That other thing, I think, still has about 10 minutes of etch time, and then we can do another one. I just set up my laser engraver today. I have no idea how to use it. So Slim Pickens, congrats on getting started. So for me, learning how to use Lightburn was a little bit of a learning curve in and of itself. Getting the laser engraver itself, the one thing you want to check is it square? Like are all of the corners square? So if you got like some sort of square or something that you can double check everything, you want to double check that it's perfectly square as you're tightening in those screws. Otherwise, it's going to skew what you've got. And then you want to work on your belt tensions if it's got belts. For me, there was a smooth rod and it wasn't connected properly, and so I ended up with a lot of skew. And then from there what I figured out in Lightburn, so I'm using Lightburn as a software. With Lightburn, you can do lines and you can do fills, and the lines can be just like an etched line like this, or you can do a line where you're doing like multiple passes at high power to actually like cut through the material. And down along the bottom of Lightburn, you've got all these color-coded boxes. And what you can do is you can basically click on the lines of your design and then click on one of those boxes, and it'll assign those lines to that box. And then that box, you can say, okay, that box is going to be the box or the instruction to actually cut through the material. This box, like the black box, I think it goes like black, blue, red, and on. So I'll say the black one is just going to be an outline, the blue one is going to be like a shade, and the red is going to be to cut through the material. And so when I did the welcome sign, for example, I might say, okay, well, I actually want to like shade it all in, and so I want to basically put the design on there twice, line them up over top of each other, and then one of them I'm going to assign to the blue for the shade, and then for the outline, like the very outline part of it, I want to highlight that in the red box, so that one's actually going to cut. And then you can go in for each of those boxes. You can then say, okay, the black one I want to set at this power and this speed. The blue one I want to set at this power and this speed. And that one's going to be a fill instead of a line. And then on the red one, setting the red line to be like multiple passes at a higher power, maybe a slower speed, so it'll actually cut through the material. And so then you just highlight everything and you send it to the printer. But you have to kind of figure out what order to do them in. Like you probably want to draw the outlines and then the shade, or maybe you want to do the shade and then the outline and then do the cut after that, because you don't want to cut and potentially have the pieces moving around. If there's any kind of fan, it can move the pieces around and then it's not going to like draw on top of it very well. So you can reorder those boxes in the software. You can actually tell it which order to do the things. And so it gives you a lot of those boxes along the bottom. So you can go in and you can make some pretty intricate designs for how you want to like lay these things out, and then in what order do you want to do them. And for me, I do the cuts last. So I would draw an outline, or sorry, I would do the shade, and then I would draw the outline around it, and then I would do a cut after that. That would be the order that I would do it. Is it worth buying the Lightburn? I haven't bought it yet. I'm still using the unlimited demo. So the unlimited demo is good for 30 days. I've got it installed on this PC as well as the PC that I've actually got the laser engraver hooked up to. And so I'm just running on the free trial right now. I'm gonna buy a license for it though. It didn't seem that expensive. I think it was $60 to buy the license. So I'll probably buy the license. If the machine's free, then I only need to recoup $60 plus, the materials and stuff that I buy. And so it's not as big of an expense. But if I was, like I was saying earlier, if I bought $1,000 machine and I had to buy the software as well, I would probably be trying to figure out what to do there. Now, ATEZR, who sells this laser engraver, if you buy one of their laser engravers, they'll give you a free license. You just have to contact them with your order number. But because they reached out to me and they said, hey, do you want to do a review and join our influencer program, whatever? I guess technically now I'm an influencer. If you don't buy the machine, then they won't give you a free license. You have to buy the license yourself. It's like, okay, well, I also bought like the little grid honeycomb thing to go underneath it to protect my desk and all that kind of stuff. So I'm already starting to invest in some of the tools and stuff around it. I bought a better pair of the glasses. So the glasses I think were $40, and the big metal thing that goes underneath it, I think that was like another $60 or $70. So it's worth investing in the tools for it as well. So let me go see whether that etch is done. I'm sure they could give you, they could give me the license for free, but I get it from their perspective too. Like they're getting a bunch of videos out of me, but they provided, $300 laser engraver for free. But I also want to make sure that I get a good idea from them. Like, how long are these videos that you expect? Like if you just expect a bunch of YouTube shorts, then great. I'll make YouTube shorts all day long. They're only a minute long. I can crank out 5 or 6 in a day, no big deal, and they're done, and I can schedule them to go out, every couple of days or something like that, and, meet my obligation. Because I have like a total number of videos, but they want it spread out over a number of months. The unboxing video, they want that one to be longer. The one that I'm doing tonight, I'll probably go back and like clip some of the stuff and show like some of the things that we did. But yeah, they basically reached out to me on Twitter and they're like, do you want to review this and then send it back? And I said, well, what would it take to keep it? And they said, well, we're going to need a bunch of videos from you if to justify the cost. So I'm fine with that. So, and yeah, if I got to turn around and like buy the license, then that's okay too. But if I can make all the videos that I need within that 30-day free trial, then I don't need the license. But because I want to keep using the software after 30 days, because, I'm going to keep the unit, I'm going to keep doing stuff with it. Then I'm going to have to invest in the software. I think there is free laser engraving software out there, but I haven't evaluated any of it yet. But I'll probably just buy a license for this. It's kind of like, if you know the software and you're comfortable with the software, then, pay for the tools that you use. I'm a big fan of like paying to support software development and stuff like that. I am a software developer, so I want to make sure that I'm keeping other people employed. We shouldn't expect everything for free in life. It's nice to get things for free, but we shouldn't expect it for free. We should definitely pay for the tools that we use. So. I'm decent with the 3D printing stuff, but the laser stuff is a whole other world. It's a whole other world for me because it's only 2-dimensional, right? You're not dealing with 3 dimensions anymore. You only have a single dimension of things. But when it comes to shading things and outlining things and cutting things, that you are kind of getting into multiple layering and just understanding like what layer do I put where. So I've watched a couple of tutorial videos on Lightburn, but most of it I'm just figuring out kind of as I go. But I am using a lot of material to kind of test things out and using, make sure you're using both sides of things or reusing material. Like I went back in after the fact and figured out like, how do I cut this stuff? There's another one that I did here somewhere. I can't find it now. Oh, there it is. Like this one, my calibration print, I went in and I was like testing out, okay, well, what strength do I need to actually cut through the material? Is that enough? Well, it was almost enough. Like you can kind of see it was almost enough to cut all the way through, but not quite. And so like just learning about the settings, like what power and what speed and things like that. So doing the calibration things, like Lightburn has this calibration thing built in. Use that. Find like get a couple of pieces of material. You're gonna use up some material, but go through and do like do this one. This is a fill, so you can actually see like the different shades that it's actually gonna burn the wood. But if you set it too strong, then you get into this territory where it's just you've got a card of charcoal at the end of it. Like this one up here in the top left corner is completely burned all the way through. If I hold it up by the lights, you can actually see the light shining through that hole. And so at certain strengths and whatever, it'll actually burn right through the material. But maybe you want that. So, do you want like char, or do you want like just a little bit, or do you want like a really light sort of shade, depending on the kind of project, right? So all those little boxes at the bottom that you see in Lightburn, you can set all these different like powers and speeds or whatever to each of those. And then you can say, okay, I want this part to be this box. I want this part to be this box, because you know that they're going to like etch differently. So that would be my tip there. I'll be right back. Okay, so for those that were here to see what I etched on the front side of this business card, turned out amazing. Turned out so good. Be really excited about that one. Cool. Let's go back over to this view then. If anybody else wants anything engraved, I've got Canva up and running. We can like input some custom stuff in here, and we can get that stuff etching on a piece of wood. So if anybody's got something that you'd like etched on there, just let me know. Or I can like pull up more dad jokes, and we can etch another dad joke. On average, these things are taking 45 minutes or so to etch, depending on the complexity and the amount of work that it has to do. If you just want like an outline of the font, that's super fast to do. But if you want it like shaded in, like we did with this one for Blacksmith Pop, this one took about 45 minutes or so to actually etch into the wood. And then depending on how dark you want it and things like that. So if you want it like super dark, or if you want it, kind of barely there or whatever. So let me know in chat if there's something that you'd like. Just trying to catch back up on chat, see if I missed anything else. So yeah, Slim Pickens, the idea of the laser engraver, like when everyone else was getting the focus one, I'm like, oh, I want a focus laser engraver. Like they would mark them down to like less than $200. But even at $200, I'm like, when am I ever going to use a laser engraver? Now that I've got one, I've got ideas and things like that. It's like, okay, it's a 430 by 430 build area. The little honeycomb thing that I've got underneath it is only 400 by 400 though. So I do lose a little bit of build size on there. But I mostly bought it just to line up where 00 is. So, I can put this piece of wood on there and kind of pull it down to the ruler, and it stops there, and I can push it over to the other ruler and it stops there. That's really why I bought this thing. But it allows the laser to cut all the way through. What I don't like about the honeycomb thing is if you're cutting out really small pieces of wood, those actually fall down in there. And I've got it taped down to the table, and I've got the laser engraver like exactly lined up on that black slab, that I know exactly where it's going to go, that it's always going to hit the exact 00 point on there. And so to like pick that thing up and like tip it over to get all the little bits of wood out of there is going to be kind of a pain, and I'm going to have to go back and recalibrate it. But you know, it's the price of it. Either that, or I need to get my shop vac down here in my basement and like see if I can shop vac that stuff out without actually moving that metal thing around. So when the only tool you have is a hammer, you get a lot of ideas looking for things to hammer. This is true. This is true. What are you going to do with it? Make little toys? Yeah, it's about the potential. Yeah, if you have it, you'll find uses for it. But at the same time, you also have to be creative about, like, am I going to design things for other people, or am I just going to use other people's designs? Like when I do 3D printing, like 99% of the stuff that I 3D print are other people's designs. Like, yes, I do my own design and I do print those from time to time, but almost all the time I'm printing someone else's stuff. When it comes to the laser engraving, though, I foresee that I'm going to be doing a lot more on the creative side, where I'm going to be coming up with the idea. And it's good. It's good to stretch my brain in those kinds of areas and get back into the artistic half of my brain that I haven't really exercised much, and try to come up with ideas of like, okay, how would I actually build that picture frame? Like, what would that look like? How would I actually design that, and sort of, you know, etch that out, you know, have some kind of like clever sort of frame design? Do I put a photo on top of it as well as like a saying, you know, and like etch out around a photo? Like I'm gonna have to get into like Photoshop or GIMP or something like that, where I can actually pull a photo in and like crop around it and put that on the side of the frame and whatever. Like I'm gonna have to come up with some creative stuff for some of this. Blacksmith Pop, thanks for hanging out today. You have one of my 3D dragons. Well, it's not one of my 3D dragons. I produced somebody else's 3D dragon. But that's what I'm saying. Like most of the stuff I 3D print is someone else's stuff. Like the nanoleaf panels that you see up here in the wall, like the actual plate that actually attaches to the wall was someone else's design. But I designed something that goes in between the plates to make sure they're perfectly lined up, so it's not like slightly skewed. Because I'm a little bit particular that way. I want these things to be exactly, you know, the right, you know, width apart and so on, exactly line these things up. Because if you misalign it, then maybe things don't line up very well. And so I went through and I designed something that actually fit into that other person's frame. And you can go find all that on printables if you want. I've got a printables set up on there, where you can actually see the little designs that I made that actually fit into that other frame. So, you know, I do a little bit of practical design, not as much as I'd like, but I have a feeling with the laser engraver, I'm going to get into a lot more like creative design around how to build this kind of stuff. I just had a 10-hour print fail at 8 hours. Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. I have the Bamboo Lab, and someone actually came out with a new design for the AMS, like the inside of the AMS, and I've been trying to print that, and I've had failure after failure. They're like, oh, it doesn't need support material. And I've tried printing it without support material. I'm like, it really needs support material. But printing it with support material adds so much extra time, and then like trying to take the support material out is such a pain. So I'm trying to weigh the pros and cons of like using support interface material or not with the Bamboo, but what needs support material? That new AMS, the Hydra AMS thing on printables. I've tried printing it several times without supports, and it doesn't print well. Several of them, like even putting a big, thick manual brim on the bottom, they were like tipping over. So I had to like really slow the print down, which like doubles the time. Like I have to do it in like silent mode, which cuts the speed down to 50%. In order to get like the big middle piece to print properly. Otherwise, like it was constantly falling over, and I ruined like several prints just because things were falling over. You've seen people printing them without supports. I mean, I tried printing it without supports, and it didn't play well. So yeah, so I'm trying a set now with supports with the interface material, and then I'm trying another one without support material, and I'm going to kind of compare them a little bit. I think one of them just finished. The other one's still printing. So one printer I had doing the middle piece, and the other printer I've got doing both the left and the right pieces at the same time. And I think the the left and right pieces I did with support material, and the middle piece I did without support material, and I think it finished. I want to go double check that it didn't actually fall over, but I think it finished okay. Actually, I can pull it up in Bamboo. So the left and right piece have another hour and a half. Come on, where's my camera at? And it's going okay. The print's not fantastic. It's going all right, though. But if I go and look at the left one, no, that one actually finished. So that one actually looks like it finally printed okay without support material. So, and then it's the matter of tolerances and things like that to try to fit the whole thing together. So we'll see. Hopefully it works out okay. But I'm also not like, I'm not going to be heartbroken if it doesn't work out. Like, I'm okay respooling the occasional spool, but I mean, over the past year, I've basically moved almost everything over to Polymaker filament anyway, and those fit fine in the AMS. The only problem I have with the AMS and the Polymaker spools is if it's really, really full, it jams trying to feed, and if it's really, really empty, it has a problem rewinding. So, hey, Ron Hill, thanks for the follow from 20 minutes ago. It just showed up in my activity feed, so thanks for that. So yeah, if anybody wants anything sort of custom etched on a piece of wood, let me know, and we'll get those sent out probably tomorrow. Because I got the treasure chest to send over to Attila, and I've got some stuff to ship to my father-in-law that I did in resin, and then I ended up with a giant resin spill here at home earlier today. Got it all over my blue jeans and stuff, but I'm pretty sure it washed out okay. But yeah, if anybody wants anything etched, let me know, and we'll get that going. It takes about half hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour, depending on the complexity of what you want etched, or if you want like just a design of something like that. If you just want to cover the cost of postage, I'll send it to you, no problem. Unless you're international, then it's going to be really expensive. I'll do it if you cover the postage, but I'm not going to ask for the cost of material. Sorry, trying to lurk on somebody right now. Oh, the other thing that happened this week. So I've had kind of a wild week of ups and downs. I got accepted into the Moco Loco team. So if anybody knows Moco Made, actually I have one of their hats. I was going to wear it earlier tonight. They actually accepted me into their maker team here on Twitch. And so I'll be using those teams for like rating out and stuff like that if anyone in their thing is rating out. But it'll also allow our community to kind of grow from people rating into us as well. And so I'll probably be using the Moco Loco team on Thursdays when I'm doing maker stuff. And then I'll probably use either no team or maybe a software-based team. I'm trying to find like a good software-based team to join for the Sunday streams for the interview prep and career prep stuff. I lost bed adhesion. I caught it before it got messy. That's good. Yeah, support material and bed adhesion, like it's such a pain. Actually switched to using hairspray on the Bamboo Lab printers, and it works way better than glue stick. There's no residue afterwards. Just spray it on once in a while. Like if something doesn't stick, I pull the thing out and I spray a little bit of hairspray on it, and everything adheres perfectly. So I'm using their textured sheet from Bamboo. I did buy some sheets from, I think it was Wham Bam, and I haven't even tried them yet because these ones are still working great. But if I ever get to a point where I don't like the Bamboo Lab sheet anymore, then I'll probably switch over to the Wham Bam. I was kind of like that with my Prusa printers. Like I was okay with the Prusa plates until just they stopped working at some point, and then I switched over to Alti-Stick, and I've only ever been with Alti-Stick ever since. Love Alti-Stick. Alti-Stick hasn't yet made one for the Bamboo printers that I've seen, but I've got a lot of trust in their product. Just they don't pay me to say that. I actually really like Alti-Stick. But with the Bamboo one, like the plate that they came out with, spray a little bit of hairspray on there. No residue, no mess to clean up. I don't have to like go take them upstairs and like wash all the glue off, wait for it to dry, alcohol the thing, put fresh glue stick on. Like I don't have to go through any of that fuss. Where I was doing that like every week or so in the past. I don't have to do that anymore. Just a little bit of hairspray works great. Let's go find a dad joke to put on here, just so we can be etching something if people drop by. So let's go do bang a joke in chat here. Oh, is anybody in chat a Star Wars fan? What do you call a line of men waiting to get a haircut? A barbecue. That's great. If anybody in chat a Star Wars fan? Nobody here likes Star Wars. All right, fine. I heard a good one the other day is, why did Yoda fail geometry? Yoda failed geometry because he didn't believe in triangles, only do or do not angles. But you got to be like really into Star Wars nerdery to like really understand that one. But yeah. Cool. There's all the automated stuff. Uh-oh. I just had a whole bunch of frames drop on me. All right, well let's go find a dad joke. The barbecue one wasn't bad. It wasn't terrific. Let's go see if we can find a better dad joke here. I have a fish that can break dance, but only for 10 seconds and only once. That one's not bad. In 2017, I didn't do a marathon. I didn't do one in 2018, 2019, 2020 either. This is a running joke. I like Star Wars, but not enough to know the dad joke for it. Well, Slim Pickens, you know that scientists have now confirmed what the internal temperature of a tauntaun is. Lukewarm. It's lukewarm inside a tauntaun. Come on, that was funny. I actually saw a video a little while back. It's been making the rounds for a while, but it was basically criticizing J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter. Like J.K. Rowling didn't write this amazing story; she basically ripped off Star Wars. It's like, oh, here's this orphan boy that has to go live with his aunt and uncle until he's like, whisked away by this mysterious bearded figure who was the one that delivered him to the aunt and uncle in the first place, and like taught about this mystical magic thing, and like ends up meeting these friends, has this weird sort of tension with the girl in the group, but ends up loving her like a sister while she falls in love with the scruffy comic relief, like, and just all these parallels between Harry Potter and Star Wars is friggin' hysterical. It's a great video if you can find it. Like it's like several minutes long, and it's like going on and on and on about like, it's pretty funny. Yeah. You didn't realize that one? You should go find the video for it. If you can find the video, it's a stand-up comic talking about it, but then people actually overlay like scenes and photos and stuff from the movies. It's pretty great. There's like the mentor is like this, um, wise old magician who's mostly high, most of the time. Like, just it goes on and on and on. It's hilarious. But yeah, basically the whole joke is like J.K. Rowling didn't write a new story. It's basically just, Star Wars with crappier lightsabers, using wands instead of lightsabers kind of thing. So it's pretty funny if you can find the video. All right, well, let's go find a joke though. I want to keep etching these things. This is a good one. The guy who stole my diary just died. My thoughts are with his family. We'll go do that one. So let's find a different font for this. We won't use the dancing one. I really wish they would like alphabetize all of these things. Because they have like popular ones and less popular ones. And then it's like, oh, here's a list of like every font ever known to man. I want to do Architect's Daughter. This is a pretty good one for jokes. It's not quite Comic Sans, but we can kind of lay this out a little bit here. That should probably be good. What do you think? Does that look all right? Program needs to open a file. The file's in the location. Says the file's not in there. Good times. I needed these laughs after a long print failed. Oh, that's good. You're always welcome to come by for some comic relief on my stream. So I actually gave a talk in Detroit last week at a tech conference, and I love dad jokes, and so my whole talk was about this dad joke API that I made, and people are like groaning, like audibly groaning in the audience as I'm telling some of these jokes. And later, someone actually tweeted, and they're like, "You know that Ian's dad joke API is legit because my dad called in the middle of his talk like he had just seen a bat signal or something." And I'm like, "All right, that's legit. That's great." So, all right, so we'll export this one. We'll export this as, oops, I don't want to go home. No, don't do that. Come back. All right, did it save my work? I don't know whether it saved my work. Oh, it did. Okay, cool. All right, so file, download. We'll do this one as an SVG. And then get that copied over to Google Drive. Oops, diary joke. And then put that on the Googles. All right, let me go get that queued up over on the other side. I'll be right back. All right, that one's off and running. It's going to take about 45 minutes. Again, depending on the font that we use and how fast we make it and things like that. So again, doing those calibrations is really handy because when I first put this down at the speed that I did, like this one for Blacksmith Pop, for example, it's like, this is going to take over an hour. It's like, okay, well, I know that if I bump the speed up, that I also need to bump the power up as well. So you can kind of proportionally do those things. And so one of the calibration prints that I made, I actually keep at the printer now. So I can kind of cross-reference, like, okay, if I really want this to go 1,000 millimeters per minute, then I need to set the power to this to get that same sort of dark color in there. Um, so it really comes down to speed versus quality. You know, do you want it fast? Do you want it good? Is kind of what I'm finding, at least with the laser engraver. So, um, yeah, good time. So we'll let that go. If anybody else has anything that they want etched on here, let me know. We'll get that queued up. Um, but yeah, otherwise, I think we're good. I'll probably get little bits of this etched video, kind of like broken out into some smaller videos for the company as well. So again, this is the ATEZR P5. It's their entry level laser engraver. Once you get it sort of built up properly and actually assembled properly, it works fantastic. I'm actually really happy with the laser engraver. It's on the other side of the room. I can't even see the print head. Even if I kind of peek between the PC and the monitor, I still can't see the actual print head moving. So that's good for eye protection, things like that. I literally have to get up, and as I'm walking over there, I grab the safety glasses and whatever. So I make sure that I've always got those glasses on when I'm over there. So definitely be friendly to your eyeballs. You don't want to mess around with that. But yeah, let's go see if we can go find somebody to bug on Twitch. Let's see who else is around. Let's see if anybody from the Moco team is online. There are a whole bunch of people from the Moco team on here that are streaming right now. We got Amish Ace, we got Babe Ross, we got Science, Artology Inc. We got a Sunset Woodworking stream. The Anchored Albatross. This doesn't show us necessarily how long somebody has been streaming for, so I don't know whether they're going to be around for a while if we raid in there. It looks like they're actually building a keyboard. Who's this person? What are they doing? They're doing some kind of gaming. Let's see. We've raided into Babe Ross in the past. I don't know that I've ever actually raided over to Amish. Amish is playing a video game right now, but is part of the Moco Loco community. But I've also never raided into Science either. So what do you think? Should we raid over to Science? Looks like they got some stuff on a microscope. Science of Soap, or Amish Ace playing a video game. What do you think? Anybody have any preference on where we raid, or just should we just raid? He's playing Horizon Forbidden West. Yep, and he's also got. I didn't invite you. I didn't invite you, but hello. You're large. You know that, right? Ah, you're. Oh, oh, oh. You really want snuggles, don't you? All right. Sorry, snuggle break. Come here, snuggle. Hey, I have no treats in my hand. Just, hey, snuggles. Give me snuggles. Come on, give me. Oh, you're just snuggles. Come on, no, come on, give me snuggles. Be gentle, be gentle. There we go. There's the snuggles. There's a good pup. Yeah, there's a good puppers. Yeah, I know you're. I know. See, you're just begging for cookies. Like as soon as he hops off my lap, I know he's just doing that for the cookies. But yeah, I think we'll go raid over to Amish. I don't think we've raided over there in a while. So yeah, Slim Pickens, this is Riker, my puppy. Come on, get up here. Say hi to everybody. This is Riker. Yeah, you're my big old pup, aren't you? Yes, you are. You're a big old dog. But you're just begging for cookies. You're just begging for cookies, aren't you? See, as soon as I say cookies, he licks his lips and hops off my lap. So that's how I know he's not cuddling because he loves me. He cuddles me because I can reach the cookies and he can't. I'll give him a cookie. I should make like a bit redeem or something for cookies. All right, let's go raid over to Amish. We'll get that set up here. Raid into Amish Ace. We'll catch everybody over there. He's playing some video games. Very friendly guy. If you've not been a part of his streams. Oops, invalid username. Raid Amish Ace. Oh, it doesn't like the @ sign in there. There we go. It says mature audiences, but very family friendly kind of stream. Lots of chaos going on over there. So we'll catch everybody over in Amish's channel. We'll see everybody over there, and we'll see you on Sunday. I'll be streaming the typical interview prep stuff on Sunday, and yeah, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Slim Pickens, good to see you in chat. Sorry again about your print. Hope it recovers okay, and that you can reprint without too much stress. But have a great weekend for everybody coming up, and we'll catch you on the Sunday stream. Enjoy your weekend. Cheers.